Hello and welcome to the Lost Art Podcast. I'm Gar and I'm here with Paul.
I'm here as well with my new microphone that hopefully doesn't sound like farce.
Delicious new microphone that we've all been waiting patiently for.
Waiting patiently so I don't sound like I'm muffled and eating the mic, which I did sound like that. Yeah. Hopefully this is a bit better.
Between your new microphone and my fucking fan, there's a lot of people out there waiting with bated breath for our household deliveries.
With this mic and your fan, we could have a new Nine Inch Nails album.
It's very, very true. Very true.
So.
The fucking thing is driving me mad. This week, we wanted to approach something Irish. So we came up with a list of a bunch of bands we think are either a combination of underappreciated in Ireland or unknown in Ireland, yet reasonably well known outside of Ireland. And
massive.
Yeah, or in some cases
bigger outside.
Yeah, like the definitely
outside Ireland.
Yeah.
I always found this phenomenon mad, but it did take us a while. We talked about doing this ages ago, but the hassle of it. We're researching bands that we wouldn't normally listen to. Some of them I would, and as well as that, it was hard to get 12 bands that were. Well, here's the thing, right? Loads of bands are more well known outside Ireland, like Cranberries, U2. But here's the catch: they have to be relatively an unknown household name in Ireland. That's the key, and that's what makes it interesting to me. Anyway, there was people out there that went to a different country and just plied their trade there, and never looked back, but to this day they could walk around the city and be like, "Who's that lad? I don't know.
Yeah,
what's he do? Oh, he's famous in this country, and that country's famous in Australia or whatever." That's crazy. I love the idea.
Case in point, my very first choice, right? And it leads exactly into what you just said. So I used to drink in the Foggy Jew pub an awful lot, right? Mostly because I had a record shop. I owned a record shop literally next door to it. And I was there for like a year and a half, 2 years before the landlord pulled the plug on the whole building. And I had to leave. But because of that, I was in the Foggy Jew, Jesus, too much, let's say too much. And there was a fella I used to drink in there as well. And I just kind of knew him. I knew him to like nada, you know what I mean? Like, fucking, all right, I might, like, at the end of the night, you might fucking have a pint with him or whatever. But I never even really knew his name. I found his name out kind of later. But I was looking at the cunt, I was like, there's something about this fucker, you know? He had this aura about him, you know? Where it was like...
He had star quality.
Star
quality. At the X Factor.
Yeah, but there was something about him.
No, I know what you mean. I see some people like that. Something like, what's he do? Oh, he is a billionaire. Like, that's it. There's something just slightly different.
An extra factor.
He mightn't have even said anything.
No, he never brought up like what he done or whatever the fuck it was. And like I said, he seemed like a nice enough fella. He was kind of mates with my mates as opposed to, you know, me and him being bestos, whatever. We would have known each other to kind of nod at. And it turns out he was the singer of my first choice on this list. And my first choice on this list is Primordial. And it was Alan. Yeah. Oh, bollocks. All right, fuck it.
Do it.
Fuck it. No, I made a bollocks of it, but we're going to keep going. Why not?
Go for it.
I can tell you exactly what happened. I had Spotify
I was like, this is a long intro for. Is he going into a song?
No, it's grand. It's not like it's a surprise reveal. I tell you exactly what happened. I had Spotify open and I had it scrolled up a bit, so I could only see my first one, not your first one. But
let's do it.
Will I just do it?
Yeah, actually, before you do that, I want to give a shout out to the ones that didn't make it. Because I don't want people like listening to the podcast going, I can't believe they're not mentioned this yet or this yet or this yet. The Kelly family were an obvious choice, but it's almost too obvious. And the fact that they're mostly American Irish. I know the lead singer is born in Dublin, but he was born when they were like visiting or something like that.
Is the lead singer not a child?
Electronic artist called Talos.
Is the lead singer not
he's
like a baby?
Now.
Oh, yeah, I know. But like the last time I saw anything about the Kelly family on the internet was like some little young fella with long blonde hair, almost white hair, singing about pissing the bed.
Oh no, I think he might be a younger one. Yeah, he might be a younger one again. He was probably born in like Australia or something. I don't know. Yeah,
is that what they do? They just travel around the world having babies.
Yeah, that's a kind of they kind of had that traveling family band ethos thing.
And are you sure it wasn't a cult?
It easily could have been. And I used to have I bought this T-shirt in Spain that had the whole Kelly family on it, and I cut the arms off it to look like a metal T-shirt. Well before people started doing that.
Oh,
and then I did find a song by them called "I Fell in Love with an Alien," which I really like because it's weird. They're like, do you know what? They're like a fucking homeschooled Osmonds.
yes,
That's the best way I can describe them.
yeah. That's a good one, actually.
There was those, like they're grand, where they're mostly kind of set in America. I think they're an American family. Talos is a one man kind of project for a guy in Cork that makes electronic music that blew up.
Yeah.
But then the Secret Garden, half Norway, half Irish. They're massive, way bigger. That would see they're almost a household name in Ireland actually. Secret Garden, yeah. Then there was the new metal band 1 Minute Silence. Do you remember them?
I remember, yeah.
The lead singer from Tipperary. I just wanted to gloss over them before we launched into our big juicy ones. And I know you're dying to talk about Primark.
I'm not. Fuck it. You go first. No, we'll keep to the order. We'll do the order. Really? I made a bollocks of it. And that's where the comedy lives. The comedy lives in me making a bollocks of it and having to just stay here on bated breath.
I did that before on a podcast actually as well. I did it. Do you remember I did that? And you were like, oh no, I changed it. We had 2 podcasts to record, and I gave the intro to one of them, and you were looking at me all funny little intro, and you're like, oh, we're doing that one then.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, look, it happens.
Who was your first one, Paul?
My first one is a guy called Ray Garvey.
Okay.
Ray Garvey is the biggest one, possibly the biggest one on this. No, it's not the biggest one on this list, but he is he's a massive star. He's a 47-year-old lad whose dad is a former chief and superintendent of Tralee in Kerry.
Jesus.
So
I have literally never heard of this fella.
No, I hadn't. You see, this is the gas thing. We're not going to pretend we know all this. No. The idea was that we were going to dig this up.
Yeah.
So I had heard his name, and I'd mostly heard his band's name. So he was in a band called the Reckless Pedestrians, and they broke up. They had played a couple of gigs in Germany and broke up. And then he went, you know what, I like there, I'm going to go over there on my own. This is when they were absolutely like just Whelan's, not even Whelan's level, I don't think.
Upstairs.
So he went over to Germany with a demo. Yeah, exactly. In that little granny room.
Yeah.
He went upstairs. Fuck off it.
He went upstairs.
He went to Germany. He went to Germany with his demo in his hand and no money apparently, and put an ad in a magazine. And a guitarist who had seen the Reckless Pedestrians was like, I know that guy. He was really good. So they got together and they formed a band called Rayman, which is Irish for Raymond, which is presumably his name. So it's like almost like Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was about to say Raymond over here is actually Raymond. Raymond over here is Raymond, Paul.
Yeah.
Raymond in England is Raymond.
Rayman is a pretty good game as well.
And a movie. Rain Man.
Hoffman. I was watching I watched Midnight Cowboy the other night with Dustin Hoffman as Ratso. It's so fucking good. I haven't seen it in about 20 years. And it just popped up on Netflix the other day. I was like, fuck it, let's give this a go again. So fucking good.
Savage film.
Yeah.
I remember like watching that and going, this was allowed out at this time.
Oh man, the stuff they got away with.
Content.
The shit. The stuff that Dustin Hoffman alone got away with. Like, Jesus Christ. Not just in that film, in all of his movies. Yeah. Like, he had a big period there of just like fucking outrageous stuff that you would not be allowed to do anymore.
He had a big period in Tootsie as well.
That's right, yeah. Big heavy flow. Big tree dropper.
Yeah. That was a tree. Do you know what? That was a cheap shot, but I'm not really. I still do it. If I
personally, as I said, he went through a big period of. I was going to say it as well, and I didn't. And I'm glad you done it because you got
you're the better man.
You'll take the brunt.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell me about Ray Garvey.
Yeah, not too long after setting up Bremen in Germany, they went to one of those showcases that I don't know if they still exist today. Those band showcases where you play for executives.
They do.
Where they don't have
Joy Films.
They probably do.
Joy Films. They exist.
They got a deal with the Virgin Germany straight away. This band, right, filled major stadiums in Germany.
And there's a lot of big stadiums in Germany.
There's massive. It's because of the football being big.
Yeah.
They had 5 gold albums. 5 gold and platinum albums there in Germany and in Europe. Raymond the band played for Obama when he gave his speech in Germany.
Jesus.
These like genuinely, they played Rock am Ring times. They played not just stadiums, but festivals to like probably over 100,000 people.
Does he sing in English or German?
Sings in English, but he speaks fluent German because he's one of the guest judges on The Voice, German Voice, The Voice in German, German Voice,
Z Voice.
Das
Voice.
I wasn't gonna give it a go. He went solo then and scaled back the big anthem rock in favor of a more kind of like electronic song style. So he was working with like Jam and Spoon and Paul Van Dyke and all for a while. He's got a mad career. He still plays Rock am Ring with his own electronic-y kind of stuff. And I was trying to get it. Do you know what I was trying to do? I was looking at the venues he was playing, trying to get a judgment of who I could compare him to. I really couldn't figure anyone because he fills venues maybe 6.5 thousand on his own.
Yeah.
That's still pretty impressive.
We don't have venues that size over here.
Yeah, so I couldn't figure out who he's really like. I was thinking maybe someone like Miles Kennedy or something. It's German, but he's Irish Miles Kennedy in Germany. But he's worked with Mary J. Blige, Nelly Furtado, and like I said, Paul Van Dyke, Jam and Spoon. He said that when he comes home, he's largely unrecognised, even in his hometown. He said it's great because in Germany he's constantly recognised, obviously.
Hounded.
But it's mad because that's song I picked.
Hunded. He's hunded.
Hunted. Hang on. Jaegered. Isn't Jaeger the German for hunt?
Yes.
So the song Is It Love? Not into it, but there it is. It's from 2018. That has 28 million plays on Spotify.
Fuck me sideways, like. Fucking Jesus.
28 million. So Ray Garvey is from Tralee, went to Germany and became a megastar over there. Like a huge megastar. Well, yeah, no.
Crazy.
You see, Germany and a lot of Europe, it's so hard to try and figure it out logically what that is like because they're do you know what I mean? We talked about this a lot before in when we look at their festivals, it's like Scorpions headlining all the time. Yeah. Over here, if you had Scorpions and you put like Jesus, if you put Whitesnake out there, like Whitesnake would be dominating them, but in other places like Whitesnake over Scorpions? Don't make mine laugh.
Yeah,
don't make me laugh.
Don't make mine laugh.
Don't make mine laugh. That's making sense.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about that before. Like Germany's a pretty big fucking country. Like, and realistically,
it's a big lad.
You can tour it. You know, it's not like Ireland or England. Yeah. You can tour Germany. There's enough little towns and big cities, and also because it's the center of the fucking continent as well, and you're in the EU, you can jump over into France. It's a whole other country to do, you know, Belgium, fucking Poland, Austria. It's
they might have had a radio because this guy they had a big song, and I listened to it. I slightly remembered it called Supergirl, Jesus. And I don't know if it was played on Irish radio because you know he's a hard worker from Tralee. No, fair play to him. He looks like Kevin Nash, and he's the same height.
Really?
Yeah, he looks like fucking Kevin Nash.
He's a big cunt, like.
He's a monster. Yeah, he's an absolute monster. I didn't want to watch any interviews because I'll get that Irish begrudgery. Oh, you fucking dick.
Yeah.
He's probably fucking lovely, man. Probably a lovely guy. But that is one of the bigger ones. That's Ray Garvey from the band Rayman, who they were massive, and he's still massive over there. Crazy.
Yeah.
Comes over to fuck! I never checked what he does in Ireland.
He works in Musgraves.
Musgraves.
Yeah.
I must head to Musgraves actually.
I have it. I don't know if I even have an account for Musgraves anymore. I'm sure I do. I have to find the number.
I just have to check really quickly where he played in Ireland. It's gonna do my fucking nut in.
Probably fucking Vicar or something.
What do you do, Vicar?
I don't know. I mean, you have to think there's a big contingent of Germans that live here, and then you've got just general music people who would go and who would know him. Like, I mean, what's Vicar 1100, like 1200?
Yeah, you could be right. I reckon he'd do a Vicar at. Jesus, you know what? I went looking for this today and I couldn't find it. Then I went off to make a sandwich game. I forgot about that. He played in Ireland. You know what? He probably played the fucking the dog and arms in fucking
exactly
in Tralee. Just takes you out the open. My son's a megastar in Germany. Yeah, is he?
Yeah.
No, he is. He's massive.
He's still Saturday night down the Fox and Hounds.
Yeah. We did very English bar names.
Yeah, exactly.
They're always better for a joke, though. Do you ever
They
notice
are.
that?
Yeah.
They lend themselves better to a joke.
The Pheasant and Shield, etc.
Yeah.
The English pubs have the best names. The Fox and Rope. Like,
yes.
Whatever. The Mud and Moyer. Yeah, exactly.
So give me your first one that's Primordial there.
So my first one, turns out it's Primordial. I can't believe I done that. I got locked into the story. Anyway, you've heard the first half. The first half of this fucking tale is Primordial. Yeah, it was Alan Averill. He was the singer from Primordial. It turns out Primordial are from that extreme metal hotbed of Skerries.
Skerries.
Skerries. Yeah. I didn't know that. And Alan, I actually talked about Alan before in an old podcast. Me and him went to the same school as well, which could have been why we were looking at each other and kind of nodding at each other.
It's very possible.
So yeah, again, I don't know him now, but I kind of know him-ish.
I've talked to Alan a few times, and I swear I really think he's a really nice guy. I get on well.
Big lad.
I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure there's people that will go, "Oh, he's a big rock star." I tell you this right now. Anytime I've met him, he's been really cool. But the only time I ever really meet him is at synthwave gigs.
Yeah.
A few times about he's mad into it. He has his own kind of. I wouldn't say synthwave. It's kind of dark synth rock.
He has a couple of bands going. He has this super group thing.
Oh, that's Dread Sovereign, isn't it?
No, he has a group called Twilight of the Gods.
Oh,
which is with a couple of lads from Cradle of Filth, Dimmu Borgir, Testament, and Exodus, and a few other lads.
Listen to those names. Just goes to show you.
Oh yeah.
Now they're not household names in Ireland, but the fact is,
in the scene, they are.
Primordial are the biggest Irish metal band
by far. Primordial are huge,
and that possibly will ever be.
From
here on in, as in, I don't think anyone's going to top that.
I have another one on the list that are, I think, equally as big, but possibly 10 times more kind of niche. But
shout out to his band Aprilmen, though. Alan's band Aprilmen. I think it's with his brother. They're good, man. It's just kind of like, what is it like? They do a cover of U2. They did another cover recently as well. But it's just the part. You tell that it's his love of 80s and synth has come through.
He has like a stage name. It's like Nemathunga or something like that, isn't it? For Primordial.
You know what? If you had to just ask me and not put that name into my head.
Yeah, I think it's Nemathunga or Nemiunga or something like that. But yeah, he does the full kind of corpse paint and the hood and all this kind of shit. Looks the part. But Primordial are considered to be the first kind of black metal or extreme metal band to come out of Ireland. They would have existed beforehand, but we're talking about come out of Ireland, like do the rounds. They've been fucking.
And seriously put the work in.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Alan joined Primordial in 1991. The band were doing the rounds for a year or two before that, kind of messing around. And I think he fucking answered an ad in fucking, where did he go? What's the record shop in the bottom of Grattan Street? That just Sound Cellar.
Sound Cellar.
Yeah, I think it was a little ad pinned to the wall in Sound Cellar or something like that he saw, and he went over. This song I picked Where Greater Men Have Fallen, which I think is off their latest album, and it's extreme metal and black metal and blah blah. Not really my bag. I don't mind some of it every now and again.
I like this song a lot.
This is fucking deadly. This is real cool. This is one of my favorite things on the playlist. I enjoyed the fuck out of this, I have to say. Since they put out 9 albums, which is a fucking lot, like an awful lot. And the fact that Alan has a couple of different groups going as well, including that super group, Twilight of the Gods. Listen, there's an awful lot of tours, and they appear at pretty much every European festival. They're highly sought after. Highly sought after on that kind of metal festival scene, and they tour a lot. And they and over here, he's just sitting in a pub, isn't he? Like they might do the odd gig every now and again, but the gigs I think the last gig they done was in like Voodoo Lounge or something. You know what I mean? Like a couple of hundred people. That's the last one I saw them doing a headliner.
Right. No, I think it's Academy or something like that.
Have they done? I don't know if they've done. I haven't seen an ad for Academy for them, but the last time I remember seeing them was definitely a Voodoo Lounge gig. It could have been some fucking tribute to someone fucking dead.
They play the Redemption Festival. They do that, so they do like this kind of festival with what are the bands? I can't remember.
Yeah, a bunch of them. Anyway, that was Primordial. Eventually, Primordial came out of my mouth. Who is your next one?
My next one is a band from Wicklow called God is an Astronaut. And the song is Frozen Twilight from 2006. These are definitely, known amongst people that are into alternative music in Ireland.
Yeah.
But they're not a household name.
No.
They're not what I would consider, like, you could go to a pub and start talking to a random lad about music. Oh, I'm into music. Have you heard Gods and Astra? No, what's that? I mean, you will get people that have definitely heard them, but they definitely fit this category of bands that are bigger outside of Ireland.
Yeah.
Not, you know, by the way, this doesn't mean they're not big in Ireland.
Yeah, we're just saying they're more appreciated outside.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're a Wicklow band that's considered to be post-rock. Like, I don't know if they give themselves that name, but they it's just two kind of members, Niels and Torsten Kinsella. They sound like kind of Norwegian or kind of Swedish first names. It's electronic. It's instrumental, but there's kind of electronic elements to it as well. So I think their first album, The End of the Beginning, was supposed to be a once-off, but it was received quite well, and they decided we'll do it again. Like that, you know, that's good. And it's a mad funny story I was reading today. One of the interviews with them, they said that they were mailing their CDs to every magazine and radio station, but getting no feedback or plays from any of them. But their Last FM stats were clocking into the millions.
Do you remember Last FM? Jesus.
Yeah. Couldn't figure out why, if they were sending all this stuff around and it wasn't being played in the radio and it wasn't being featured in any magazines, how it was. And they figured out after like a while that the people in the radio stations had just given to their local kids, here's a bunch of CDs. They were getting mad into them, ripping them. And Last FM was picking it up, obviously. And they were getting mad plays that way. So they played their first show in front of 5 people in the Isaac pub. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Store Street.
Played it a few times.
And that was when they decided, we're going to give this up. It's not going to work. But who was there at that gig? Derek Nally, the old Whelan's booker.
Yeah.
Who passed away a while ago.
I know Derek. I knew Derek, should I say.
Yeah.
I was at his funeral.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. He gave them a slot in Whelan's. And when they turned up, it was 80% full when they went on stage. And that was when people, like, he gave them literally that audience.
Yeah.
They are playing really, really, really big gigs outside of, they're really well appreciated because they are considered to be definitely Ireland's best instrumental band of that. You know, there's probably a Celtic one that's probably bigger. I don't know. Playing folk, Irish folk or Celtic inspired music, that's better. So don't go mad at me if you're listening to this going, no, they're not as big as Kunchkushka from fucking Athy. Okay, whatever. I didn't know about that. But instrumental wise, they are one of the biggest instrumental bands in the world. Yeah. Like, I'm talking seriously, one of the biggest instrumental bands in the world there. They were saying that, like, they get so many gigs. If a booker can't afford someone like Explosions in the Sky or somewhere like that, or maybe 65 Days of Static, I don't know, they'll contact these and they'll get the gig. And that's what they did, just keep plying their trade, putting out, I think they've 6 albums. Their first US tour cost them about 20 grand to do. And on the day they were about to leave, their gear worth 20 grand also was stolen from their vans in New Jersey. They reckon it was a guy on the inside, a guy they were working with, who sent them all to bed early. No, lads, you need to make sure you're all right for that flight tomorrow. That's what they reckon. That's horrible anyway. But when they returned to the United States, they were selling their shows in New York, Los Angeles, left, right, and center. They consider their albums to be a sonic photograph or snapshot of who they were at that moment in time.
Yeah, but it's still an interesting concept.
It is interesting. I want to slag it for Irish begrudgery, but I can't. I don't understand exactly what they mean by that. If
someone from fucking England or America said that, you'd be like, that's cool idea.
Yeah.
But it's because they're Irish are like, stops.
Yeah. They've actually 9 albums. As far as I'm aware, they're self-produced, which is incredibly impressive because the sound, the music, it has to sound great.
Yeah.
And you're hearing it this much, it has to sound absolutely brilliant. They've said they can pull 500 people in Bucharest, but they say Russia is the strangest one. They've never sold a single thing there, but when they turn up, there's 2,000 people at the show.
Yeah, that's because that's like, after China, that's the world's fucking bootleg capital.
That's it. It's got to be it.
It has to be it.
Yeah.
Like fucking hell. There's nobody buying
they
it.
They say there we do really well in places like China as well. God. So yeah. They say that every time they do a show in the US, it's noticeably bigger, the response and the sales and stuff like that. As far as Dublin would go, they would play like the Academy. They played the Academy last year. That was actually
I remember that, yeah.
Robert Smith is a big fan. He started playing them on BBC Radio, and to the point where they went and supported The Cure in Bucharest, which was savage for them.
Deadly.
And they said that Robert Smith watched the whole set from the side of the stage.
Deadly.
And he's so interested in all of the bands. That's why he ran that Meltdown that time.
That's right, yeah.
That year. They might have been on that. They said he's a nicer man than you can possibly imagine. In Ukraine, they played an outdoor headliner to 6,000 people. But here's the maddest one. They headlined a festival in India.
Yeah. India, you wouldn't think.
With India, 30,000 people.
Jesus.
That's mad.
Fucking India.
That's three arenas.
Yeah. You wouldn't think that there's like anything of Western influence in India. I believe China and Japan and all that, yeah. Russia, yeah.
I reckon they said that they didn't know that they had much of a pull in India, but over there festivals pulled up those people in anyway. Just music like that. And that the promoter presumably just wanted an instrumental band on.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, there's no lyrics. It's completely universal from top to bottom.
Yeah.
But they said it was hot as balls. They got there, melted, and got straight back on the plane again.
Yeah, it's fucking India sounds. Whenever I know a couple of people who went to India, and it always sounds cool. But then they tell me all the little sub stories about fucking the heat and the dryness and the scutters and the everything, and I'm like,
not remotely interested. Sorry,
I'd love to go.
Ideally, if I could go to alternative glamping where I had a chef. This sounds wanky, but I'm not eating food in places that are so used to putting that much spice on a daily. That's grand. I'd be ruined.
Full on.
And I'd be like, can I have something mild? And they'd be like, this is the mildest thing, and you won't taste any spice, and your eyes start twitching.
Yeah, I can't do it. I don't understand.
That's cool if you're into that level of spice, but I'd be ruined over there.
I'm telling you right now, the people, I know lads who are mad at the spicy food, and I'm telling you right now, there's something wrong with them. They have some sort of there's some deficiency in their taste buds where they don't pick up on 3/4 of the spice. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe, they ignore some of it.
Yeah. I think I've a full palate. So when something's a bit spicy, something's like that, there's a right balance of flavour and spice where that's bleeding lovely and there's a bit of heat behind it. You're like, oh, that's kind of nice actually. Yeah, that's lovely. And then you go one step above that where fucking, Jesus Christ, I can barely taste it. And then you get the hottest thing on the menu. And it's just pain.
Yeah, so, I used to get Vindaloo a lot, but it would be more hassle than it's worth. The taste of a Vindaloo is incredible, but you're fighting with it and you're losing. You're losing all the time.
Yeah, and there's people who that's not hot enough for them. That's not Vindaloo.
It's crazy. But Indian people have been known to when they go abroad, they carry a little thing, a little kind of shaker of air.
But isn't the whole concept behind that? Isn't the whole concept is that sometimes a lot of the fucking ingredients they're using are rancid and they're just using spice to kill the fucking bacteria in it?
What, when they travel abroad?
In general, that the whole concept of Indian spice is that fucking if they were eating, a lot of the population are vegetarian, and but not all of them. But
I don't think that spice can stop bacteria.
I don't know. I always thought that was the thing, that it just kills a lot of the fucking grimness in it.
It's hot in theory, but it's not physically hot.
Yeah, I've no idea
to kill bacteria.
There has to be some sort of fucking thing behind it. I don't understand it.
That's God is an Astronaut from Wicklow. Definitely 100% bigger outside Ireland, but that's just from putting out banger album after banger album.
Yeah,
and not stopping it. And to be fair, I think a lot of people will admit that they caught a break every now and then. You can catch a break. They said they were coming up around the start of 2000s when that instrumental rock, post rock was coming up huge again. So they were in the right place at the right time. Although, sorry, they were in the wrong place at the right time because Ireland's wasn't particularly well known for that. Even though they said there was a lot of bands around that time that were starting. There was. I used to listen to a lot of instrumental bands. From them around the 2000s, and Ireland was great for that.
Yeah, we were banging out like and so watching from afar and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, and you didn't have to be like put your feelings on the line with lyrics. Just go out there and just go mad.
Yeah,
just go mad.
Just keep it interesting.
With Tiago guitars, but that was them. Who's your next one?
My next one is another metal band, and I have to put metal in inverted commas here. It's Cruachan.
Yeah, they were going to turn up, I suppose.
Yeah,
they have to. Realistically, they have to.
I know one or two of the lads out of Cruachan for fucking years and years, just from gigging. Now, I don't talk to them on the fucking reg by any means, but if I saw them, I'd fucking say hello to them. But I think we even played with them a few times, and I don't think I ever listened to them properly. Like, I kind of knew what was going on, but like, this is 100% not my bag.
Yeah, it's not really my thing anyway. No, obviously I have respect for them.
The lads that worked their bollocks off. They're absolute bollocks off.
This music is super popular in a lot of places, but like, I know what you're saying.
So Cruachan do this kind of folk metal, but it's 90% folk and 10% metal. They wear the fucking kilts and the fucking kind of sarong wrap type of things, and they have the hair hanging down, and sometimes they put mud in their hair, and like, it does a big kind of showman element to Cruachan. I think they formed in like the kind of early mid 90s. Then they ended up breaking up in 97. They got back together again in 99. They put out an album. I think they put out their first album came out, and I think they put their first album out, and they weren't particularly happy with it. But Century Media liked what they were doing, and Century Media approached them to sign them, but the deal was dog shit. So like, they actually said no, which is mad that they said no. Because you think any band with their first album coming out being approached by a massive record label like Century Media, and they just said, "No, that deal is dog shit. Like, stick it up the hole." So cool. So I think they kind of self-financed their next one, and they brought in Shane MacGowan to produce it.
That's where the single came from.
So they brought in Shane, and Shane ended up singing on two. We sang on two songs on that album.
On Ride On.
I don't know whether he sang on Ride On. Ride On was one of their big songs. This is fucking that's one of their biggest ones. But
it's a cover.
It's a cover. It's Christy Moore, yeah. But
it's actually a really good cover.
Yeah, that song bothers the shit out of me. That song. I don't know if I dislike it or I'm just sick of hearing it, or it's mostly just the people who like it. I don't know. I think it's the fans of that song.
The original, like, or
no, the Christy Moore version. There's something about it. When I was in school and that song came out, and there was just absolute mutants. The worst of the worst. They were like, Damo Dempsey fan type of people.
Yeah, but and you deal with Christy Moore fans
once every
6 days, because that's where he pretty much has a mattress.
Yeah, he just has
under the stage in Vickershire.
That's it, an old fucking bunk bed or something there from. I deal with Damo Dempsey an awful lot. I deal with Christy Moore an awful lot. I deal with Aslan an awful lot. All three of those, lesser for Christy Moore. Christy Moore fans tend to be a little bit older, but there's been a
wiser, yeah. But I know the kind of people that you're talking about. They have the Irish patriotism on their shoulder, but in a push in there, like, they have to live up to some sort of rebellious, or not a rebellious Irish thing, but you know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
well, they've got the kind of false patriotism on their shoulder, and a big bag of cocaine in their other pocket. And
yes,
like, it's just this weird.
That's patriotic, apparently.
Yeah, that Ride On. I think, to me, whenever I think of it, that's the beginnings of that. Now it's being refined down to a fine art with like Damien Dempsey and kind of the resurgence in Aslan and stuff like that recently, where like absolute dirt who literally should be shooting each other in gangland wars are going to see gigs.
Do you reckon those fans? Those people, I say fans, they are fans, whatever.
Yeah.
Those people will end up latching on to stuff like Fontaine's DC ever.
No. It's not traditional enough. No. At all. No.
It tries though. It tries.
Yeah, but it's not, it doesn't have that kind of IRA tint to it that is what draws them to it, you know.
You're right. There's a lot of like, for want of a better term, woke stuff in there. Yeah, you're right. There's more social problems in their stuff than there is in
Anyway, back to Cruachan. So they banged out that album with Shane MacGowan producing it. 2014 was a fucking huge year for them. Huge year. That was, they done a Russian tour. And there was Murder as well.
That's
that was
right. I remember because I have Keith on Facebook, and I remember looking at the pictures and stuff like that. That was
they done a massive tour of Russia
quite badly in a lot of places. I think, wasn't it?
They were treated badly by the media in general, because this would have been around the time that Pussy Riot was being the whole Pussy Riot thing was happening, and there was generally this kind of woke fucking contingent of people who were like, "Don't tour Russia." You know, don't go to Russia, like, see what they're doing, the Pussy Riot and all, and the gays.
That's right.
So anybody who had played Russia or had tours upcoming in Russia was being fucking like bullied online to cancel their tours. And I remember one of the lads that I know, John Ryan, who plays the fiddle for them, and he was like, "Lads, we're after putting fucking loads of money into this tour. Like, we're gone for weeks." Like, there's an awful lot of logistics involved in this. We can't just because you said don't go doesn't mean we can't go. Like, we have to go. Like, we're going to go over, we'll be killed. We're not going to batter any women or anything. Like, we're just going to go play gigs. You know, we understand that.
It's kind of a tough one. I don't think it's the same as Israel or South Africa back then, but at the same time, I sort of get where people are coming from. Now, when I said they were treated badly, I think I'm talking about, like, I remember seeing some of the places they were staying where, like,
grim.
Whoever grim as fuck. That's what I meant by that. Treated badly.
Now they played.
I don't know if I don't really have an opinion on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. They played Israel that year as well. They done Russia, Germany, Ireland, obviously, Ukraine, Israel, the Czech Republic, and the Netherlands. They played a fucking bunch of festivals, a bunch of headline gigs. They done an awful lot.
I wouldn't fall out with someone over it, but to me personally, I wouldn't do it.
I think an awful lot of times when it comes to, see, again, we're thinking about, like, me and you know one or two of the lads, whatever, to see up to, say hello to. So we're thinking about them on our level. But at the same time, they've this brand and this band that they've spent an awful long time.
Of course,
like 30 odd years.
We're not in the same position. No. So
and they've got booking agents, and they've got fucking managers and fucking road crew.
They've got kids. They've got mortgages, I'm sure.
But
I get it. No,
but even aside from that, like, they're fucking, if their booking agent turns around and says, "Listen, we're after being offered $3,000 to play this festival in fucking Israel," and you sell a fair few records in Israel, lads, you know, they're gonna go, like, fucking, first of all, it's $3 or $4,000. But it's like, if we don't do it, is the booking agent going to fucking take us off the list for a German tour or a fucking, you know, anything at all? Like, if you say no to a gig.
Personally, I couldn't do Israel.
Yeah, personally, I absolutely, that's where I draw the line.
That's not a slight on people from Israel, really. Yeah. It's just the whole propaganda of paying people over the odds to get them over, to make it look like everything's all right.
Everything's fine, we're a real country, like, so they've put out 8 albums. I think the last one was the last one, but the one before was Blood for the Blood God, which all the Warhammer players went mad for, because that's a Warhammer slogan. But anyway, they've had they've had.
Is it directly related? Is it like, is it
100%? Yeah, one of the gods of chaos is called Khorne, Khorne, and his phrase is Blood for the Blood God.
Mad.
Yeah, it even has a picture of a thing on the front of it that might even be Khorne. But anyway, they've had 17 past members, which is mental. And they've also had...
We go through a lot of people,
But they keep, like, they have this kind of weird revolving door thing where they just, like, someone will leave who was a fucking tin whistle player and they'll come back on drums. You know what I mean? It's that's this weird jump around type of thing. I'm pretty sure they've had 1, maybe 2 consistent members from the get-go. I think maybe even only 1, where there's just been this fucking long line since, like, 1993, 4, whatever the fuck it is, all the way to now. It's just fucking the one guy.
I have watched a good, like, I've never seen them live, but I have watched videos the odd time, especially when, like, I listen to a new song when it comes out. It's, again, not really, it's not my bag, but it's not neither here nor there whether I like it or not. It's just not my type of music. It's definitely not bad. It's definitely good at what it's supposed to do. And that's not me just covering myself. I'd fucking say if it was shit.
Yes.
But it's not. Because I always give credence to people who are good, talented musicians, and they fucking are, like, to be fair. What was I going to say again? I watched a video that they played somewhere. I can't remember where it was. It could have been Romania or somewhere like that. And they really do give it their all. Like, really
fucking hell. It's a big deal. Yeah. Like, it's a big deal. Like, this song is the fucking, what's the marching song of fucking Fiach McCall, I can't even fucking say it. The song's name's that long, it doesn't even. Fiach McHugh, which for some reason has the fucking Rocky Road to Carlow bit in it or something as well. And it's mad.
Like, I'd like to say I'm ashamed I don't know my Irish history, but I'm not ashamed of that. I like other things.
Yeah. Like, I put the song on and it starts out real cool. And so the fucking all the fucking Tim Whistle, he's knee slapper, and then the electric guitars come in, and I'm like, why is the electric guitars in this? Like, what's going on here? And then the electric, I don't know. For me, the mix doesn't sound good. It just sounds like they threw some fucking drums, some proper drums, and some electric guitar onto some trad music. But I think that's their shtick. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's the shtick.
When you're dealing with that amount of musicians, I'd say you've probably been through a lot of different rehearsals.
Trying to mix that amount, because it's like bazookies and fucking fiddles and tin whistles and an awful lot going on.
It's impressive. Don't get me wrong. It's impressive.
Fucking right. I tell you what's more impressive than anything else, and I found this with a couple of bands on this list, is that you're based in Dublin. Where the fuck do you find a tin whistle player? Where the fuck do you find like a mandolin player or a bouzouki player? Like, not only where do you find them people that play those instruments, but how the fuck do you get them into a metal band or a punk band?
How do you get them out of pub?
But like fucking, I know, like, come up in one of my next bands, but I know a couple of lads that were in one of the bands coming up, and I'm like, how the fuck do you play that instrument? Like, for real? Where did you learn to play the fucking banjo? Look at the head in you. You know what I mean?
You pick that mad instrument.
Exactly. Now, I know they play loads of instruments, but like, fucking hell. Like, what the fuck? Tin whistle, like, the tin whistle. And to get good at it, enough at it to play in a band.
But that's it, man. Get a niche instrument.
Maybe you'll always be in the band. I knew one guy. He was, what did he play? He played the double bass, and he was in orchestras and shit, like proper orchestral double bass with the bow. And he was always working as a session musician. Always. Nice. And nice fella, French guy, I think. Shut up, dog. And he was always in for no. Anyway, that was fucking CrewCon with the march of fucking Fiach McHugh or whatever. Huge. It's the song name's just too long for me to remember. Huge band outside of Ireland. Yeah, and do the odd gig here every now and again. I've seen them a couple of times in Voodoo. Like I said, I might have even played with them over the years. But Jesus Christ, they were. I used to love meeting up with fucking John Ryan. He would sound, and he would just fucking tell us stories about all the mad shit that happened to him on the roads. And that's my favorite thing about hanging out with fucking musicians, is hearing road stories.
The lead singer as well, Keith, has like a YouTube page where he plays through video games and stuff.
Oh, deadly. Yeah. Right, who's your next one?
My next one is a very, very big band, but it's My Bloody Valentine.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I don't know whether they'd be considered a household name in Ireland.
They're on the edge, I think.
They're on the edge. They're fairly big, so I might be just kind of blurring things a little bit here. But the fact of the matter is, they're so big outside of Ireland that it dwarfs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right, okay, anyone born in 70s, 80s, 90s will probably know who My Bloody Valentine are. Not born in 90s, sorry, born before then. Maybe 60s, 70s, 80s are going to know who My Bloody Valentine are in Ireland, because they are the shoegaze front runners.
Yes.
Formed in Dublin in 83? 83, yeah. 2 Irish guys and 2 English girls. It was Kevin Shields was the main kind of songwriter, and the guy who had that guitar sound that everybody knows from them. The drummer is Colm Ó Ciosig. I don't know how to pronounce that because I'm terrible at Irish.
But I bet you his name's not that. They do that in every band. Every Irish band change their fucking names to the Irish versions of their names, and it bothers the life out. To be fair,
this is the 80s. Though it wasn't cool back then, like it is now.
Yeah, it bothers the life out.
So I think Debbie Gooch was the bassist, and Belinda Butcher was one of the singers as well. Fun fact about Belinda Butcher: she was successful in her audition for My Bloody Valentine because she sang a certain song very well, and that song was "The Bargain Store" by Dolly Parton. Imagine turning up to a shoegaze band, like an alternative rock shoegaze band, singing Dolly Parton and Getting It. Good woman.
Some balls.
Yeah. Listen, My Bloody Valentine are one of the most influential Irish bands of all time. They influenced Smashing Pumpkins, Radiohead, Sigur Rós, Deftones, and to a lesser extent, some of Hole's music. Not just outside of Ireland as well. This is a really kind of important thing as well. The Edge came out and said, My Bloody Valentine's music was a major factor in U2's style change for Achtung Baby. That's massive.
That's big claim.
That is a big claim. So you doesn't mind.
That's a big album as well.
Yeah, and that is when people started going, these lads are like. That's when I was like, I heard a few U2 songs before that, but they had that youthful kind of shit. I don't know. Hang on, what was before Achtung Baby? Was it Joshua? No.
It was Joshua Tree, wasn't it?
Joshua Tree, yes. Okay, I did like a lot of that, but when Achtung Baby came out, I was like, oh shit, man, yeah, into this. They were signed with Creation Records.
Yeah,
and Alan McGee had to mortgage his house for the album that this song Only Shallow was off, Loveless, and he was begging and pleading them to finish it because they were bleeding. Like he said, he was watching Creation Records disappear in front of his eyes every day.
Good.
Well, we wouldn't have had a lot of Deadly Bands.
That label is amazing. He is a torturous cunt.
I know. You've told me a few stories before.
I had to mind him for a weekend. Fuck me. It was like having Van Morrison attached to you. Yeah. He looks like him as well.
What, is he like a gargle hound or just a waffler? Or
no. He's nothing and everything at once. It's real hard to describe. It's like a.
So is he just one of those people that makes you feel uneasy?
Yeah, all the time. Like you fucking.
Try to describe.
You're just itchy when you're around them. You know what I
mean? Yeah.
No,
I get you.
He's not. He's not a torturous cunt. He's just mad awkward. He was real awkward.
They were. Yeah. I always want to. Obviously, there's loads of interviews with him because of the bands he's found. Whenever he comes to Oasis documentary, he's going to be there going, "Hey, yeah, I saw them there. Agree, that kind of crack." Anyway, My Bloody Valentine were given $250,000 to build a studio and do their third album, and it fell apart when Kevin Shields went a little bit mad. A funny fact about the term dream pop, when it was coined, he came out and said it's funny because they would record their vocals at about 7:30 in the morning while still half asleep. So that maybe is where dream pop gets that kind of feel of like drawn out, sleepy kind of. They signed with Island Records and apparently made 3 albums, and the guts of 3 albums never released. Oh, that's mental! How much that would have cost. Yeah. So Kevin Shields has it his way or no way. Apparently, that's why that they are so good. Anyway, the original lineup got back together in about 2008, I think, and then in 2003, MBV, the third album with the whole original lineup, came out to massive reviews, massive fucking reviews, and it is good. Yeah, it is good.
He still lives here, doesn't he?
Kevin Shields, I think, does live in Ireland. Yeah,
yeah, because he goes into Freeboard Records every week or two and grabs a lot of records.
Does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen him in there. Pretty sure.
I bet he grabs very cool records.
I have no idea what he does be grabbing. I think he's just one of these guys that just grabs everything. What's out this week? That pile there, Ricky, was one of all of them.
Deadly. I'm gonna get record and put it in there just so I can say Kevin Shields has almost definitely heard it.
I'm pretty sure call the album
"Come Get Me, Kevin."
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm gonna have a picture. of a mirror looking at him holding out the record, so it's already there. I think I'll do that. Yeah. No, absolutely not gonna do that. That was My Bloody Valentine. Massive band, but the level of his success and influence they cast outside of Ireland dwarfs completely what they were in Ireland. So that was my third one. Who's your next one?
My next one is Blood or Whiskey.
Yeah, they're fucking huge.
Blood or Whiskey are another fucking kind of Celtic punk act that probably they don't necessarily predate people like the Dropkick Murphys. They would be around and about a similar era. Maybe we're talking kind of mid-90s here, I think, that the band formed. They have 2 incarnations. The original incarnation put 2 albums out. I believe the original singer's name was Barney. I think it was Barney. And then Barney, I believe, had like a fucking mental breakdown or something. Went off the deep end, and he just didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't want to tour, didn't want to do any of that stuff. So he stepped down, and the band took a little break. And then Dougs, who was the guitar player, he stepped up and he started singing. So they dumped out two more albums with Dougs singing. I got into them just at the end of Barney, kind of during the changeover almost. So I think I might have saw them once with Barney. Maybe I saw them once with Barney. It would have been very young. And I played with them and saw them a bunch of times with Doug singing. I prefer the Barney era personally. It's a little bit more authentic. It's more kind of pogsy than anything else.
Yeah. I think everyone in Dublin has either been in Blood or Whiskey or knows someone that was in.
There was the fucking stories. Like I know most of those lads real well. And like I've known a bunch of their olds, they're all players real well as well. They had one Tim Whistle player, was an American guy who just apparently was on the run from the fucking FBI or something like that and ran over here. And he's in jail now. He's in like Rikers Island or something. They caught him.
Yes.
There's a load of mad shit. Yeah, I wrote him a letter once. Everybody who knew him, he just wanted everybody to write him letters, you know. Just to kind of keep up with everybody. I still talk to Pete Townsend. He was not really in the band anymore.
From the Who?
Nah, yeah, no. Yeah. Pete is was their banjo player, and he's been with them from the beginning. He knocked it on the head. I think maybe last year, the year before, he was like, I can't fucking do this tour and kind of stuff anymore. They've done a bunch of US tours. They got taken under the wing of the Dropkick Murphys, and the Dropkick Murphys used them because there's no one actually Irish in Dropkick Murphys, obviously.
Yeah.
Even the lead singer now.
Just in case there's anyone American listening, we mean actual Irish.
Actual Irish, yeah.
That's not me gatekeeping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. There's people that go, oh yeah, my sister's married to an Irish guy. I was like, his name is O'Dowd or something, but he's not.
No.
He's not actually from Ireland.
Yeah.
That's, again, not gatekeeping. That's not what I'm getting.
No, he wasn't born here. Nobody in that band was born here. Even their lead singer now, Al Barr, like he's of Scottish and German descent or something like that. It's nothing to do with Ireland whatsoever. But obviously the shtick is kind of the Irish look with a little bit of fucking diddly eye thrown in. But like the Dropkick Murphys have also evolved kind of past that diddly eye stuff now as well to a degree. They're more, I don't know what you'd call it, like post-folk punk rock. I don't know what the fuck you'd call it.
Yeah.
Stadium folk rock punk. I don't know what it is.
It's like a Celtic Rise Against.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it's meant to be.
Do you know what? Just before I go on to the next bit, it's freaking me out that there is so many bands, and I'm looking at you, Germany, because you come up a lot in this podcast. They have Irish rock bands.
Fuck yeah, they do.
They're not, none of them are Irish.
None of them are Irish. There's a Celtic music festival in, I believe it's France. Every year, where like all these bands go and play. And it's fucking huge.
Every single song
is about drinking, yeah. I wouldn't mind the guy in Dropkick Murphys who writes the songs doesn't drink.
Grant. That's great, yeah. But
he just writes songs about drinking.
But at least they've moved off. They've moved off drinking a bit now, I think.
There's still lyrics about it, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway.
It has to be. But I found one today, a German band, based on a guy's name. His name is Mr. Irish Bastard.
His name is what?
Mr. Irish Bastard.
That's his name.
Of the band. And that's the name of the band. And I listened to them, and it's just garbage punk.
Yeah.
Irish. We could do a podcast on people who pretend to be Irish.
Oh, listen, there's what's the name of that band? They're not pretend to be Irish, pretend to be Scottish. Canadian band called the Real Mackenzies that pretend to be Scottish. Like there's so much of this kind of Celtic influence across the board. But Blood or Whiskey were definitely one of the kind of original new wave of it. Like the Pogues are the daddy of it all, really.
Yeah, of course.
And they influenced so many different bands. And again, like McGowan's not even fucking Irish, not really. But not really. But no, it's a weird mixed bag there with McGowan. That's very hard to put your fucking hand on. And he's
put your fucking hand on me.
Yeah, exactly. I wish you could say that. He'd probably say it now. He's got new teeth installed, didn't he?
Yeah, he's still kicking, man. Fair fucks to him.
Is he still in the wheelchair?
Yeah, I think so. People go on about like fucking the lads from Rolling Stones and all. I'm like, well, look at that lad.
That cunt is literally immortal.
He like, if he must have made, like, people say they make a deal with the devil or a saint or whatever like that. He made a deal with Gargo that the Gargo wasn't going to kill him.
He full on done. He full on done the fucking the Mr. Leahy let the Gargoyle do the talking. Yeah, so Shane McGann was born in Pembury in Kent.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's just, I think his parents were Irish. He's again, a bit gatekeepy, but it's whatever. So Dropkick Murphys, Blood or Whiskey, done loads of tours with the Dropkicks in the States. Done a couple with, done a few shows with like Flogging Molly and stuff like that, who were another. Yeah. They were going to get on this list, but I think they might be too big.
Do they all get on, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think they know that they're kind of hoisting each other's flags.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if Dropkicks go to some weird city and do all right, Flogging Molly now they'll do all right, and vice versa.
Oh, very good, yeah. You know what I mean? It's a kind of mutual thing. Yeah.
Now, Flogging Molly, Dave, the singer from Flogging Molly, like, he's Irish. He lives down the road with me. He's about 10 doors down the road from me right now. Yeah. And I see him every couple of weeks when they're not on tour. He stood in my dog's shite one day.
No, you told me that. No, you didn't. You told me about a guy who... What was your dog shit story? Anyway, go back to
the dog shit stories, man. Seriously. Do a whole podcast on dog shit. But there was a big change with Blood or Whiskey when Doug started singing. So the band were a little bit more selective as to what parts of their old catalogue they would play, and they wanted to kind of clash it up a little bit. So they start bringing in more electric guitars and a little bit more kind of punky orientated stuff. And they brought out an album called Cashed Out in Culture, which is actually, there's some good stuff on it. There's some good stuff on the album. You can hear where the change happens. They got fucked over on the album as well. They signed with some decent little punk label and they done them over proper. I forget the full story, but Jesus Christ, they got fucking riddled on that deal. So they had to knock it on the head, and then they brought out another album then a couple of years ago. And if I remember correctly, they just said, we're putting out ourselves, and it's just like CDRs in fucking those little poly bags. I don't think it even has a cover. It just says Blood or Whiskey on it. But that, I think at that stage of their career, they'd just been drinking in the Foggy Jew too much, and they start bringing in like reggae and dub and ska into this.
Jesus.
Yeah, into this kind of Celtic punk stuff. It just didn't work. You know, you had horns and fucking pick it up, and yeah, it was just a Foggy Jew on a Sunday night in album form. And
fuck no, man.
Yeah, it's not for me. That's why, like I said, I prefer the first two records that were put out by the fucking legends that is Miro, who had his own label here in Dublin, his own record shop, and he put the first two out. I actually have the first one on vinyl, which I believe is a bootleg. But even the CDs are hard to find on rejected records, and the CDs go for like £100. I have both of them.
No, I know a lot of people that like Blood or Whiskey but aren't into Flogging Molly or Dropkicks. Weirdly,
well, they're authentic. They're authentic.
They just like them more.
Yeah, I believe this was always a bone of contention with Blood or Whiskey, that they knew they should have been big. They were definitely big outside of Ireland, because Celtic punk is bigger outside of Ireland than it is in Ireland.
But they can live off it.
Now, what happened is that fucking life started imitating art over here for a while, and I fucking, if I was a stand-up comedian, I'd have a fucking bit about it, because life started imitating art over here about, I'm going to say, what is it, 2020? I'm going to say about 2007, 2008, where fucking absolute mutant gobshites start dressing up like the Dropkick Murphys. You start getting everybody wearing like the flat caps and fucking tweed, and like then like the kind of the skinhead bottom half and the farmer top half, right, is what they were doing. And basically what it was to look important and sound important to Americans and tourists coming to Dublin, where somebody would walk in wearing a Dropkick Murphys hat, and some cunt devoid of personality would rock up wearing like braces and a flat cap.
You're
Do you
right.
remember all this?
You're
And
right.
they'd rock up
Oh,
to them.
God,
Like,
I remember these.
there's the drop kicks. Them, they're my boys. They're my boys. Well, like 2 years before, whenever anybody brought up the Dropkick Murphys, they would cover their faces.
These were metalers 2 years.
Oh yeah.
This. Or they had no interest in this shit 2 years before.
None. It was literally a personality transplant where they kind of went from being just your average Joe to realising that if they went, I talk about the Foggy Jew an awful lot, right? Like I said, I drank there for fucking years. I fucking DJ'd there for years. You name it, I fucking loved. This is just a pub in Temple Bar in Dublin that everybody drank in for a long, long time. Yeah. Every band drank there. Fucking tattoo artists, bikers. It was just their alternative bar that wasn't like a metal thing like Fibbers or whatever. It was just a little bit of everything bar. And for about 5-6 years, it was fucking amazing. It was literally, it was like Cheers. You walked in, everybody knew everybody. Everybody had their own little kind of fucking areas. Everybody was cool with new people coming in. It was as long as you were introduced, right? Like it was just, it had this, but it was weird kind of hierarchy there of fucking like people who'd been there since fucking before God grew fucking hair.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
See that? That's fucking stupid.
Yes, it is. It's a pub.
That people have their own little, like that. That's the type of gatekeeping in a pub.
100%.
You
100%.
come in as a customer and think you are a better customer or longer customer.
Yes.
No, I know that's something.
You're worth more. It's bullshit. It is absolute bullshit.
You're disagreeing with the bouncer. You're like, I've been drinking here fucking years. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
But that kind of shit that went on in the Foggy Jew.
Just for, customers. Yeah.
It was tattoo artists as well.
Horrific. It was horrific at some stages. But for a while there, it was the greatest. But it became...
during the week when they weren't there.
Exactly. During the week was superb. But it became this fucking parody of itself, right? Yeah. And the people start kind of replicating the parody that was happening within that pub, right? And it was the same thing that happened. Same thing happened to Bruxelles with the metalheads, where fucking if somebody went in and put something bog standard like Metallica on the fucking jukebox, all the fucking extreme metal fucking corpse paint cunts would nearly have an uprising. Do you know what I mean? And some prick behind the bar would press the button and fast forward it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
Do you remember that?
The metal elite.
Exactly. But it was the same. It was the same in the fucking Foggy, where, like I said, people who were just bog standard cunts start wearing the flat caps, and then all the skinheads. There was just this big revival of kind of skinhead stuff. Like when I started there was 2 or 3 skinheads, who were there on a regular basis, and then it just evolved into this. Everyone was a fucking skinhead for about 2 years. Everyone. You just bought the same yellow and black Fred Perry top that I've said before, you could do a job interview or go to a funeral in. You know what I mean? It's just fucking the bog standard smart casual fucking dress code and a pair of jeans and a pair of Doc Martens, Oxblood Doc Martens. And everybody looked the exact same, but they were all trying to out skinhead each other. And then the rockabillys were there and the rockabillys were trying to out rockabilly each other. And the punks were there and the punks were trying to out punk each other. And the metalheads were there who were trying to out metalhead each other, you know, and couldn't start tattooing their faces and getting bits of their faces chopped off. To try and fit in with the piercers and the tattoo artists.
That's why I think I liked grunge so much. It was never, no one tried to out grunge really. It was
not
like,
really.
I like that. I was like, oh yeah, but like, do you not think Bleach is a better album? Yeah, whatever.
It's a great album. Like, can they not all be good? You know what I mean?
All good. That's what I did like about grunge heads.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, new metalers knew they were listening to stupid music.
100%.
I love new metal.
Yeah,
that's the great thing about that. When it came to fucking metalers, I was like, what are you getting out of this, man? Just listen to the music. Yeah, some of the stuff is fucking incredible. Yeah. Like, I like Battery, I like fucking Carcass, and even early Carcass.
Deicide and fuck whatever. It's all music.
Gone to some kid, like, oh, no, that's a lot.
I was only listening to fucking Death Leprosy the other day, like, you know what I mean? Like, this fucking... Anyway, this place was fucking where bad met evil, eventually. And it just became this fucking joke to the point where I put my hand up one day and I can't come back here anymore. It's just too much showboating. Everybody's trying to outdo each other. And to the point now, I don't know who the fuck drinks there anymore. Not right now. Nobody's drinking. But like fucking in general, everybody who was a regular, I don't think has stepped foot in there in years. It killed itself. The snake ate its tail. And I'm saying this because Blood or Whiskey, they were there all the time. That was their place. Their manager drank there. Everybody in the band drank there. You'd see them there, fucking at least one of them every night. And they start, I believe that this new formation of Blood or Whiskey started writing music to appeal to the people that they were hanging around with in that pub, as opposed to the people who had been
like that. I can see that happening, but by accident.
Absolutely, 100%.
By accident, you know 100%. What I mean? I kind of sympathise with that happening.
It's also extraordinarily easy if you're in a kind of a very specific genre band. If you're in I was a Celtic punk band, you know.
If you're drinking with your fans and your fans are telling you what bits they like.
Exactly. But then you get a bee in your bonnet. You hear some fucking, say, ska bands, because a lot of these lads kind of like ska. They hear some ska bands, like, fucking hell, that's really good. I wonder, the next song I write, and they're writing a song, like, it'd be great if I just do a bit of upstrum and a bit of uppicking here and fit that in. And now all of a sudden we're not a Celtic punk band. We're just a band that can do whatever we like. But by doing that, you alienate half of the cunts.
Because those fans would also love fucking ska. They would.
Well, it's across the board. Like, I remember playing when we were doing Skeleton Crew, the kind of psychobilly kind of hardcore band. When we were doing that, we played Blood or Whiskey's album launch, and for that Cashed Out in Culture album, which was really good, and it was packed. It was in the Academy 2, which is, I don't know what's the Academy 2, 300 people. Something like that.
Yeah, 350.
Yeah, something like that. It was fucking jammers. It was bananas, like fucking absolutely outrageous. And we played. And I remember like Blood or Whiskey getting up there and playing. And one of the lads from Blood or Whiskey, thanks to the Skeletons crews and the best fucking rockabilly band I ever heard. And I'm going, holy fuck, man! They got everything wrong about that. Like, fuck me. Rockabilly band, I'd die, I'd kill myself if I was in a rockabilly band. And the Skeletons or something said, thanks to the Skeletons, the best fucking rockabilly band I ever heard. I was like, I'm out here now, I'm not even finishing
this. That's like the Strokes video where they have David Cross going, that was Stroke with Juice.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Again, I got on with 2 or 3 of the lads, fucking grand. Pete, I see all the time, I love Pete a lot of time. But anyway, that was Blood or Whiskey. Extraordinarily bigger outside of Ireland,
definitely, yeah.
Than they fucking are here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the style of music they do is an international brand of music. It's not necessarily Irish. Yeah. Like I said, though, it seems to be that it's doubled back in itself, where Irish people are pretending to be more into that to appeal to the foreigners that are coming over to be bestos. They feel.
I should have seen that coming, but I never did.
Yeah, I think the people who don't have personalities that put on the flat caps and the skinhead boots, they get this instant kind of authentication from foreigners.
There are Irish people getting authentication from an American band doing American Irish music.
Yes, because if they turned around and said, no one here likes the Dropkick Murphys, not really, they're not big, then the Americans going to go, what the fuck? Like, they're playing stadiums back home. And we go, no, not really into it. I think they're kind of stupid. They robbed.
Irish person finding patriotism and their own place in Dropkick Murphys is weird to me. I don't know.
It's fucking mad. Anyway, who's your next one?
My next one is James Brown.
What?
James Brown.
What?
James Brown from Belfast.
Okay.
James Brown. James the King Brown.
All right.
From Belfast.
Scared the fuck out of me there. I thought getting something wrong. Did I full on stroke out there on the wrong fucking podcast?
He was a postman who gave up the gig to become a professional Elvis impersonator in Belfast. Real? Yeah. He did really well as an Elvis impersonator, but he did something really fucking cool in 1998. He released an album called Gravelands, which went on to sell 500,000 copies. And it was a cover album of all dead singers, but people like Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin, Ian Curtis, AC/DC, Bon Scott, obviously, and
this sounds like a podcast we'd do. John
Lennon, T-Rex, yeah. But this Gravelands album is fucking deadly, and the song I picked is "Come As You Are" from that album.
Yeah.
This is such a mad idea to do. It was just like, it was kind of grungy and alternative an idea, because the people he picked, there's a lot of, not all of it. Janis Joplin's not grunge, but an AC/DC aren't. But it's all, he picked an alternative covers album, but in a much better way than Tom Jones did. Oh God, or Johnny Cash, from being honest. Sorry, it's not as great as That album weirdly did really well in Germany and went to number 15 in their charts, which was kind of weird. So he went over there, and whatever happened, I think he had a falling out with one of his producers. So we got a new producer who gave him a German backing band, and they covered Roger Miller's 1964 song "King of the Road," and then that got picked up by Audi in 2001 for a commercial on German television.
Weird.
And it kind of got so popular that he released it as a single. Then he started touring Germany and going, okay, this is where I
live now. Yeah.
Not know if he lived there, but like he spent so much time in Germany selling loads of albums, way more than he was in Ireland. Obviously, Gravelands was big. I remember when it came out. It's cool. It's a cool idea. Him singing like "Come as you are," and now there's a band called Elvana.
There is, yeah,
doing the same thing. I don't think that's him.
No, yeah, man's younger. Yeah, man, he does that Nirvana Elvis thing is definitely younger.
That's why people are going, Paul, have you heard this Elvana? It's a god. I'm like, man, yeah. I heard.
Shut up. We invented that. Shut up.
Yeah, I don't mean to fucking go, I remember when it first came out, but I can't listen to Elvana when I've heard that, you know?
James Brown.
So he's moved back since to Northern Ireland anyway and lives there, but he does tour successfully in Europe, even though there's a lot of health issues apparently, that a lot of depression, and apparently all his joint killing him all the time. All the time. A funny one was in the 90s, he got an offer from Robbie Williams to tour with Robbie Williams when Robbie Williams was just breaking with Angels and all that crap.
Yeah.
To tour with him. And he said no.
Really?
Yeah, he has family commitments. He didn't want to leave his family for that long. So fair play to him. Oh, yeah. The last thing I know that he did, he's contributed to the soundtrack for a movie called Lonely Street with Cat Williams, of all people. Such a
really
thing.
That's mad.
Northern Irish Elvis impersonator who did an album of songs by dead people ended up contributing to the soundtrack to a Cat Williams film.
Fucking hell.
That's the king. Come as you are. Who's your next one?
My next one is Pugwash, who I never knew anything about until I met one of the lads that was in the band. Pugwash are the brainchild of a boy called Thomas Walsh. It's essentially a one-man band almost, but he has people that play with him live. So in the 90s, he built a recording studio in a shed because he heard that one of the lads from XTC, I think it was XTC, had built a recording studio in a shed.
Yeah.
And they just didn't want to go into real studios anymore. He just wanted to have his own.
Yeah, man from XTC did, and he never toured either.
And so they decided, he said, I'm just going to fucking, I think he had a climb. He was in some accident or something. And he had a few bob. So he just said, fuck, I'll just build a studio. So he built a studio in a shed. And in the first year, he recorded like 150 demos. And he sent a little 4-track demo into Hot Press. They picked that as like, demo of the month or something like that. And he started getting a little bit of traction off it. He put out his first album in 1999. It's called Almond Tea. And a lot of people went mad for it. It's such a weird style of music that he does. This kind of retro pop.
I know I heard some of it. It is very old fashioned, but
it has this real.
He's a good songwriter.
He is. He has this weird fucking style that like shouldn't really exist anymore. Like the style he's making music in should be like an influence as opposed to the end product. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people like liken it the kind of mid-era Beatles. But he himself said like that's just lazy comparing me to the fucking Beatles. Like that's just fucking lazy. His second album is called Almanac. And there was a song off that called Anyone Who Asks. And fucking, that got used an awful lot in a movie in 2008.
I think I remember that song.
It was Edward Norton and Colin Farrell. A movie called Pride and Glory. And it was used kind of repeatedly in that movie. So we got an awful lot of traction off that. He banged out another album then in 2008. 2009. Anyway, I don't remember what fucking year it was. It was called Jollity, which is a weird name. And he had fucking Graham Hopkins from Therapy. He had Johnny Boyle from The Frames. He had Duncan Maitland from Picture House. Eric Matthews, a bunch of kind of guest people on it. And a bunch of guest people on it. After he released that album, he kind of retired the live band. He was like, I just want to go back to doing my own thing. And it was around the time he put that album out and he met Neil Hannon. From the Divine Comedy, and they became real good mates. Yeah, They became real good fucking mates. So he decided, like, I don't really want to do, like, I'm going to keep Pugwash, but it's just going to be me, I think was his deal.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be doing the big band and all this kind of shit, So around that time, him and Neil Hannon formed a band called the Duckworth Lewis Method. Just the two of them. And fucking they put out a couple of albums and they're fucking mad. Have a listen to it. The second album has guest spots from Stephen Fry and Daniel Radcliffe. Like
Harry Potter
and Stephen Fry,
Fry.
Yeah, are fucking on the second Duckworth Lewis Method album. Like, it's fucking mental.
Do you know what I can do? You know what I can do without Stephen Fry and John Cleese's speeches getting offended being used on memes all the time.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of that. Yeah,
I'm offended that you're offended. I'm offended that people taking offence. People get offended too much easy.
Yeah, it gets used an awful lot.
I love both of those people. I love Stephen Fry. I love John Cleese. But their speeches on getting offended do me fucking nothing.
Yeah, anyway, I like Stephen Fry a lot, but
I like him. He's great.
Loves the sound of his own voice.
Yeah.
I can't watch that QI fucking show either. I couldn't do it. Couldn't fucking do it. I watched a few of them, but it's not for me. What was I saying? Yeah. I met, there was a guy in the band called Tosh, and he had another band called the Sevils, I believe, and he used to hang around the pub an awful lot. So this is kind of how I got to know Pugwash, because they were coming back off a European tour with Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. He was doing like that kind of Smile tour or whatever it was around Europe.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and he picked Pugwash to support them on those dates. So Pugwash had been traveling around fucking Europe with Brian Wilson. So we got a call one night saying, "Listen, fucking Thomas and fucking Tosh want to have a little after show in the Bowser. Are you up for it?" We're like, I hate doing them. I hate doing it.
You don't make that much money. And
it's not even about, the money is one thing. It's just, you do a full shift and then a load of lads rock up in the middle of the fucking night. Like, you know what I mean? I done one for what's his face? Glenn Hansard once.
Yeah.
And it's fucking mayhem. Like, it's grand, but it's a lot. It's a lot of work. And so we're like, whatever. And he said, listen, he said, Brian Wilson's going to come. So
then the answer is yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no worries. So organised it anyway. And up he came, not Brian Wilson, everybody else that was in Brian Wilson's band and Pugwash all rocked down.
Don't care unless they are.
Exactly. So I was sitting there like a fucking prick waiting on Brian Wilson. And I said it to one of the lads, where's Brian? So it's not a good day for him, he went and he bought like 3 tubs of ice cream. He's gone back to his hotel room to eat them.
Oh, he loves his ice cream, doesn't
he? Yeah. So that's Brian Wilson didn't come to his own after show party because he wanted to eat like 6 litres of ice cream in his hotel room alone.
I'm not going to lie to you, that's something I'd do.
I'd be more into that than going to a pub for the whole night drinking gargle. Because he probably only drinks fucking Fanta and Coca-Cola anyway. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he's a gargler. Not anymore. So he just wants ice cream.
Is he a big gargler or just do mad drugs?
Drugs and gargle, I think, was the bag.
They are. But I don't like drugs, but I love gargle.
Oh, gargle. I'm not gargling tonight. I'm drinking a lovely, healthy bottle of Volvic.
I'm having a few cans. I'm not going to lie to you because any excuse to
why not?
Mad alcohol-y, but
whatever. Yeah. That was Pugwash anyway. Who's your next one?
My next one is an interesting one. A one-man project called Miracle of Sound.
Mm-hmm.
And the song is The Wake of the White Wolf from 2014. So Miracle of Sound is a one-man band and an independent musician, Gavin Dunn from Cork. After the breakup of his band, he was kind of really loud, playing a lot of video games. And went, I'm going to do a fun thing just to take my mind, go back into writing music and do it. So he was playing Half-Life. So he wrote a song called Gordon Freeman Saved My Life.
Yeah.
So he put it up on YouTube, I think, like that. And the next day, it racked up hundreds of thousands of views. And he was like, holy shit, what a weird thing to happen. It's just a song about like a guy from a video game. Now, fast forward, this has become his crazy niche that he just copped on, writing songs about video game characters and now some sort of maybe TV or movie characters. It's become massive for him. He He has one song on YouTube. I think his biggest one is a song about Tyrion Lannister, and that has 9 million views.
Fucking hell.
He is officially, I think, the most successful indie musician in the country, as in everything is from himself, self-financed, like, put out and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's lots of indie musicians, as in that's the style.
Yeah.
His style isn't indie. His style is fucking weird, man. This is like almost folky power metal.
Weird.
And well, depending on the song. Now, to be fair to him, he did a song for about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
That's more of a kind of 70s kind of thing. It actually sounds remarkably like Devil Woman by Cliff Richard. So I think you might have to,
I'm just a Guardian of the Galaxy.
The start of it. The dude is clearly very talented about doing whatever he wants. I just find it mad, right, that this dude has 54 million views on his YouTube videos.
Fuck.
But he's writing it all from a box room in a Cork apartment. That's fucking mad to me. Man, I mean, brilliant. Like, it's great.
If you could do it. You know what I mean?
Like, listen to some of the stuff. It's definitely not for me. Like, some of it is kind of interesting, and some of it is like, it's impressive. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
it is impressive. What he needs to do, though, what he absolutely needs to do, is to get himself to Germany.
Yeah.
Or Russia. Yeah. Man, I guarantee you, right, he plays a gig in Russia. He'll go, no one likes me in Russia. They'll go over there, 5,000 people will turn up.
Yeah, probably.
Miracle of sound for the game. But he needs to do before he goes to fucking Russia is do Command and Conquer Red Alert Hell March.
Oh, yeah.
He also needs to do about.
It's just about hell marching.
About fucking Modern Warfare. He needs to do a Modern Warfare song. But he'll lose his geek niche down, I'd say, maybe. I don't know. He seems very, very much on the level, very like down to earth kind of guy in the interviews that I read about him. Every one of his albums is called like Level 1, Level 2, Level 3.
Oh, okay.
He's up to like his 11th one now, I think. But it's some of the stuff in between.
Interesting.
About 1.5 a year. You know what I mean? So he'll do maybe a bit. I just find that famous guy just being absolutely.
That's real cool.
He is definitely way bigger. He just got that fucking writing songs about video games down, but he can do it from his own. I think he only plays maybe guitar and a couple of other instruments, maybe. The rest is just VSTs, virtual instruments for people that are not like me. Like, I love an old virtual instrument. Basically, it's a
an old Steinberg.
Yeah. I used the Steinberg sampler a lot, actually. It takes about half an hour to load the keyboard on a thing, but like I said, he needs to get himself to Germany and stuff like that. Gavin Dunn. His dad was a famous poet from Cork, apparently.
Really?
I think it's Sean Dunn. I don't know much about him, but I was reading about it today. That's a mad one that I found. A super successful indie musician from Ireland making albums on the internet and selling them like mad. He has like that song Wake of the White Wolf, that's like 6.5 million listens.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. And he's bigger on YouTube because obviously he's bouncing from video
that's where the nerds live as well.
Tutorials. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, way more.
You'll come up in suggested fucking videos of anything related to Game of Thrones or video games or blah, blah,
exactly.
blah.
And that's possibly how he kicked off with the Half-Life thing. Well, that's Gavin Dunn, aka Miracle of Sound from Cork. Who's your next one?
My next one is the Virgin Prunes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is a slightly off-kilter one because I don't think the Virgin Prunes were... I don't know if they were as important while they were really a thing as they became afterwards.
Yeah. I thought, like, all I know about the Virgin Prunes is that they were big-ish in Ireland, but surely bigger outside Ireland, right?
Yeah. They were one of the first kind of Irish death rock bands, if you get me. It's a weird... They have this weird parallel to U2. So, obviously, Gavin Friday was the singer. They formed in 1977, which would have been kind of the beginnings of punk, and where even bands like the Stooges and stuff would have been kind of mixing that punk and garage and rock and roll together to make something new, which is... Death rock is one of those things where I don't really think death rock is real. You know what I mean? I think it's...
I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know bands that are death rock, but I don't understand the qualities that it has to be.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's like I don't think it's a genre. I think it's a tag. That can be applied.
It also sounds cooler than it
sounds
is.
Real cool.
I like death rock, but it's not as cool as it's that name.
I just don't. I don't think it's a genre of music. I think it's just a look or a feel that gets put across a load of different bands. Like I've heard like bands like the Coffin Cats, who are just an American psychobilly band, referred to as death rock. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you have a particular, if you have a particular theme, like I've heard the Cramps referred to as death rock, and but still to this day don't really know what the Cramps are. Like genre wise, I couldn't fucking tell you. It's all over the place.
Horror surf.
Yeah, horror surfabilly. I don't know what the fuck it is. But the Virgin Prunes were one of the first Irish death rock bands. Gavin Friday was the singer. He ended up leaving in 1986. So he done kind of 9 years-ish with them. They continued on under the name The Prunes, which is an atrocious name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Until the early 90s. They were they had this kind of goth feel to them as well. They were signed to Rough Trade for a while. I think they were locally important in Ireland, but I think they were looked upon outside of Ireland as something kind of exotic.
Oh, yeah, I could have swore that they were bigger, like in England, even in Scotland than Ireland. I don't think wrong about it.
I know that like here, there's people who were going to gigs were like, "Oh, the Virgin Prunes were great," like, you know, they were.
Yeah, like I played them the odd time on the BJ. It's usually just the obvious one, like Baby Turns Blue, because I love that song. Yeah,
it's great. I wanted to play something off their first album, which is it's If I Die, I Die, I think it's called, and it's not on Spotify that I could find at the moment. It might have been up there at one stage, but it ain't there now. So I picked a song called Love Lasts Forever, which is off there. They kind of done this little kind of get back together again type of situation.
Of course they did, yeah.
The guitarist in the Virgin Prunes was Dick Evans, who we talked about before, who was in U2. He's The Edge's brother.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so Dick Evans was like the guitarist. And he was the first guitarist in U2 before I think his brother then jumped in after him. Yeah, if I remember.
Two dicks in the family.
Yeah,
I like the Edge.
Yeah.
It was too good of a shit joke to let pass.
Then you've got Derek Rowan, aka Googie. He was an artist. He's done
that makes sense, because if you ever watch, remember that show, Naked Eye, the Irish prank show?
Yeah,
they got like the guy who's a bit like Jake Stevens, the kind of dumb guy with the how are you as a taxi driver, bring Gavin Friday, and every time Gavin Friday said, "Want to go left here?" your man took a right, and then you hear Gavin Friday eventually going, "Fucking Googie set this up, didn't he?"
Yeah,
Googie set this up. Right, so right, that makes sense now.
So Googie was probably more famous after the Virgin Prunes. He became this kind of weird outsider artist, and he done. I think he's Bono's best though. People think Gavin Friday is Bono's best though. It's not. It's Googie. Googie is fucking Bono's fucking BFF for life. Yeah. And he's done a bunch of artwork for U2 and stuff like that over the years. Their first album, If I Die, I Die, was produced by Colin Newan of Wire. They brought the guy from Wire in to produce him. They released, I have to go looking for it. In 2004, they released this kind of discography on LP, which is like everything. I think it's on a double LP, the first album, and a few little demos and shit like that.
I'd be interested in getting that.
Yeah, we're going to go looking for it. Gavin Friday obviously went on to have a pretty solid career afterwards. We actually talked about Gavin Friday. We talked about his album Tobacco Shag there a while ago, didn't we? On something.
We did, yeah.
On what I do not remember. It could have been some producer or something. I cannot remember.
We did talk about for Gavin Friday. I can't remember which episode.
Yeah,
people need to tell us what episode it was.
I don't fucking remember. We talked about his album Tobacco Shag, which is kind of an important Irish album. But something weird happened with him. Somebody wrote a play based on his album Tobacco Shag, and then someone made a movie out of that play, and then he was brought in to score the movie.
Right.
Which is
that makes
weird.
Sense.
Yeah. The whole thing goes around circle. He's done a fuck ton of soundtrack work. Like
it's a bit like Dr. Dre scoring Straight Outta Compton.
Yes, exactly.
Or scoring it, you know.
He's done a fuck ton of soundtracks, like having songs on soundtracks, and then he scored a couple of movies.
He does a few songs with U2 as well. I think he did. He's on or has a part in that song "Ground Beneath Her Feet" from $1 Million Hotel with Mel Gibson. That's a good song. He
had songs on Mission Impossible, Moulin Rouge, Romeo and Juliet, In the Name of the Father. He scored, this is fucking mad, he scored that 50 Cent movie, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Fuck off, did he?
Yeah.
That's Neil Jordan. It's an Irish,
another Irish director, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So he must have brought Gavin Friday in. It's like, listen, we need a lot of music for this 50 Cent movie. All right, yeah, no worries.
Go Bono, it's your birthday.
It literally is his birthday.
It is actually.
This week. I turned 60 last Sunday. Yeah. By the time this comes out, 2 Sundays ago. But yeah,
that's right.
The Virgin Prunes, I think, were extraordinarily important and kickstarted something. But I think there was one guy in the band that wants nothing to do with being in the band anymore, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah, he's just hands up, not into it anymore.
And, I find a lot with the Virgin Prunes. I'm listening to their stuff, like going through it, I'm like skipping some. No.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. They've a bunch of stuff that like was well put together, and then a bunch of stuff that just doesn't make fucking sense, almost filler. Kind of garbage. But that's the Virgin Prunes. I think that they were big here. I think they were big locally, and I think they were more important externally.
Yeah, I think that could be open to interpretation. But I thought you were right about that. Virgin Prunes been presumably more if not bigger. Like it's a hard thing to quantify, but surely they're fairly influential. Like a lot of Scots from England and America. Like if you ask Trent Reznor, you know who Virgin Prunes are, he's going to say yeah,
of course,
surely. So that surely proves it.
There's also an element in all genres, but in particular in that kind of goth and, like we said, death rock, for people to want to outdo each other. So they go hunting for the most obscure random bands. And every now and again, you get a band, like punks are fuckers for it as well. Punks are swines for it. And what they'll do is they'll almost champion a fucking obscure band.
Yeah.
So out of nowhere, you'll get these big resurgences of kind of adoration for bands that their time has definitely come and gone. But they'll just get this blast because somebody important in the scene will make reference to that band. And then all of a sudden everybody's gone streaming them, you know? But that was the Virgin Prunes. Who is your last one?
My last one is a band called, and tell me if you've ever heard of these, The Bachelors.
I never heard of The Bachelors. It doesn't ring a bell.
Me neither, till recently. This is why I had to swap these out last minute. These took the Kelly family's place. The Bachelors were a band from the 60s from Dublin who were signed to Decca Records.
Fuck the fuck up.
No? The same label that is now Universal. Bing Crosby, Al Jolson, and even sister Rosetta Tharpe, who we should have mentioned when we were talking about Little Richard in terms of who started rock and roll, really, but he had just died, so I'll give him that one. They started out, 2 brothers in the band, Connolly and Declan Kluski, and another guy called John Stokes, first appeared as the Harpsichords, I think, on Luxembourg Radio. Now, do you know what Luxembourg Radio is? I knew about this. This is cool. Luxembourg Radio is only something that I kind of found out about in the last couple of years doing this podcast. Which was like the forerunner of pirate radio, really, wasn't it?
Pretty much the invention of pirate radio was Radio Luxembourg,
it was such a huge mast, that powerful radio station, that it reached from Luxembourg to UK and Ireland to the point where bands were sending it over to Luxembourg to be played. So
because they covered all of Europe, like.
Exactly, yeah. You know any more about
that? I read about it years ago. I had to write something fucking years and years ago. I think it was in school. Yeah. And I had to cover. I was obsessed with. I was fucking obsessed with pirate radio when I was in secondary school. Like absolutely obsessed with it.
You seem like a guy who would have tried a pirate radio.
100%. I even had an idea about 10 years ago for a weird form of pirate radio.
And now look at us.
I know this was going to be outrageous. Like I was using those little Raspberry Pi computers.
Oh yeah.
I was basically going to build like a Dublin city like intraweb that would broadcast FM locally enough to stay underneath the radar. So it would be internet radio, but broadcast on FM.
No way.
Yeah, I had it all figured out, the software and everything. Then I nearly bought a fucking monster of a transmitter off like Alibaba Express there a few years ago as well.
You're gonna put it in the mountains, Wicklow Mountains.
Well, the whole thing was everybody used to go up to Tree Rock Mountain and put masts up there.
Yeah.
In the 90s, I knew 2 or 3 lads who had pirate radio stations, and you used to go up. You'd go up to the Tree Rock Mountain at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and you'd find some weird fucking spot to get a mast that would overlook all of Dublin City, and you might get away with it for a week or 2. You might get away with it. But yeah, fucking Radio Luxembourg, I don't remember. I remember fucking, I think it started in like World War II or something like that. That's pretty much all I remember about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember reading something about the BBC trying to get rid of it because it was cutting into like they had no ads or something like that.
Well, do you remember Atlantic 252, that radio station?
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah,
that was Radio Luxembourg.
Right. Oh, and that's right. And Channel 5 in England bought it as well.
So Radio Luxembourg had a parent company who sold the rights to fucking RTE or something like that, and they turned they started Atlantic 252 out of the bones of Radio Luxembourg, and they got access to all the old stuff.
That went from the 60s to about 1992, I think, or to 93.
It was 1992, I think. Yeah. So it's I think Radio Luxembourg started in like the late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah. So listen, that's when they kind of started with they were a classical themed band who played harpsichords.
All right.
Harmonicas maybe. I don't know. Anyway, look, what happened was then they changed their name to The Bachelors and started to release. It was all covers back then. They were
porn tapes.
They porn tapes. Yeah, they put them on
put them on Radio Luxembourg.
Radio Luxembourg as well. Just them banging mats.
Yeah. Irish style.
Right? Here's a weird one. They performed Danny Boy on the Ed Sullivan TV show.
Fuck off.
Patrick's Day special.
Jesus.
But the Patrick's Day special was filmed in Dublin.
Fuck up. Was he
Ed
here?
Sullivan's, yeah, he was, yeah.
Wow.
In 1959.
Fuck me. That is... Holy shit.
It's mad, isn't it? So that's where they got a kind of break. And from then, they became, during the 60s, they had loads of successful songs and tours in Europe, Australia, South Africa, South America, USSR, and United States. They were big, like, really big. And I've never fucking heard. Now, here's the thing where a household name is a bit of a fucking vague term, because I remember I said it earlier. I don't know if I said it earlier. A household name in this thing is like, what I would consider a non-household name is if you asked your auntie who's younger than your ma, do they know it? And they say no, then it's not a household name.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That might be a slightly good barometer. There's probably better barometers of what isn't the household name. So you wouldn't maybe ask your ma. You might not ask your younger cousins or something like that.
Yeah, let's be honest. 99% of people's mas are just useless at music. Do you know what I mean? They know what they listened to when they were fucking like 15, and then it's all over.
I don't even mean in terms of that. I just mean like someone slightly younger than your ma, but it was around
who bridges the gap between your ma's generation and yours.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So if they don't know, so they in this case they probably would know the Bachelors, but me and you. And everyone I've asked, I've said, did you ever hear the Bachelors? They're actually signed to Decca and released like a load of... That song, Diane, is a cover. They're all covers, man.
It's of course. That was the time. Yeah. No one was writing songs.
No one was writing their own songs. We're covering songs from America. But I was looking it up and they were doing like how are they touring the USSR with American songs in the 60s?
That's fucking crazy.
South America is mad. South Africa is even madder.
Yes.
That's even madder. Australia, I kind of get that, but that's in the 60s, man. That's big, like.
There was a big thing in the 60s about the. I was only watching something there recently. A big thing about Australia in the 60s. There was this mad power struggle between England and America, and you had like the older generation were all kind of very much, were British, and the younger generation were all taken on the kind of the tenets of the USA. So they were building hot rods and kind of looking like fucking, rebel without a cause type of fucking shit. They were all, this is the way the youth were dressing and acting.
You know what? I know what you're saying. Either way, they're going to be influenced by a colonizing.
Yeah, exactly. as we were, as well. But fucking the Australia is a fucking mad one. Like,
yeah, it is. But Jesus,
South Africa, in those days, the grimness.
Yeah.
The grimness.
This goes to show, like, that's why I wanted to pick this. This is kind of out of our wheelhouse completely.
Yeah.
A band from Dublin in the 60s that was signed to Decca with fucking... That's mad.
Like, we would have been pumping out show bands.
Yeah, that's another band I meant to mention. I think Miami show bands were bigger outside of Ireland than...
I don't know.
No?
Maybe.
I know that they were as big as the Beatles and Stones in Ireland.
In Ireland, 100%. The show band era of Ireland is mental. I don't know of any other genre of music anywhere in the world that had the fucking significance of the show band era in Ireland. Me and you are here. This is a fact. Me and you exist because of show bands.
Yeah,
that is a fact. There's nobody in Ireland
riding music.
Exactly. There's nobody in this country whose fucking grandparents, like our age, whose grandparents or great grandparents didn't meet at a fucking show band gig. Who didn't go to a dance hall and fucking meet at a show band gig. It didn't fucking exist.
That was like, I don't think it was the punk of back then, but it was a fucking rock. It was.
It's all there was for the youth.
I'm sure there was some people like in the church, especially going, I don't know about this show bands.
Oh yeah, that definitely would have been like for the kind of slightly rebellious youth. But there was levels of show bands as well. There was like the fucking cookie cutter, absolute fucking grimness, like the absolute grimness. Sure, fucking when the Miami show band were killed up north, that wasn't even supposed to be the Miami show band. That was meant to be the Wolftones.
Was it?
Yeah. They killed the wrong band. So there's documentaries about it. It's fucking insane. Like, why the fuck would they want to kill the Miami show band? They wanted to kill the fucking Wolftones. Do you know what I mean? Wolftones went over some back mountain instead, and the Miami show band took the fucking road that the Wolftones usually take, and the fake fucking British Army guys, or possibly actual British Army guys, who knows, shot them and killed them. I know. I used to work for a guy. The Miami show band went through about 3 different versions. So when most of the band were killed, 2 or 3 of the guys survived, and they kept going and brought in new guys, and then those guys retired, and this kind of second generation guys brought in third generation guys, and like there's still a version of the Miami show band doing the rounds right now. But when I worked in the Mater Hospital, my boss, he was the keyboard player in the Miami show band, the version after they were killed, like so V2 of the Miami show band, and the stories. The stories he told me were outrageous.
Like, it wasn't like Brendan Bowyer, like good mates with Elvis and the Beatles.
They all knew, everybody wanted a slice of fucking what those bands had. Everybody wanted it.
The Royal Show bands would play in like Las Vegas and stuff.
Yeah, easy. That's and they were huge. They were huge.
I have to put a band like this. I know The Bachelors and not necessarily show band music at all.
That's a mad story. I never heard that. I didn't know there was any Irish bands on Decca or anything like that. Like that's a big fucking thing. Like,
I need to find more about what Irish bands. I found another couple there because we will soon. Well, yeah, soon enough we might be doing a radio show that has Irish music on it.
Yes,
and we're going to have a bit of fun with that one as well. We're not going all page. It's not Paddy's Day or anything. Actually, the reason I'm doing this, we're deciding to do this now, and I'm suggesting that to you now, is because I don't want to do it anywhere near Paddy's Day, like some sort of fucking, oh God.
Oh no, horrific.
We did a good Irish episode today. I think that was interesting. I found a lot of interesting stuff in that. That's one of the ones where instead of us trying to depart knowledge that we already knew, we found it.
Delivering
it to you as well as we possibly can.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was The Bachelors, Diane, from 1964.
The Bachelors.
Yeah. Do you have another one, or is that it?
No, I've one more, and it's The Dark Horse.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
You do have another one.
I do. It's my last one, and it's my own band that don't really exist anymore. And the reason I put them in there as opposed to another band is that at least I could speak to it from my own point of view.
I was going to say, that's good, and I'm glad you did, so we can, here's first-hand experience of someone who's bigger outside of Ireland than in, apart from this podcast, of course.
Yeah, so we, in a band called 20 Bulls Each from, I think we started, there's kind of dissent on the camp as to whether we started in the year 2000 or the year 2001. Nobody can fucking remember. I think it was 2000, and I think Gav, the guitarist, thinks it was 2001. But anyway,
is that what yours is there breaking up?
Well, we broke up fucking like 5 years ago. We were supposed to be playing a gig in like 5 weeks' time. We were supposed to be doing a reunion gig.
That's right.
Because obviously it's 2020, and I wanted to do 20 Bulls Each for the crack. So we've been rehearsing. We've been rehearsing for the last fucking 4 or 5 months, getting ready.
That's right. You have been with the Corona. I remember you complaining about the pain in your hand, because I know what it's like when you haven't played guitar in a while.
Yeah,
you come back and like,
fucking hand is all in shite now. And I
don't fucked up that day.
I don't even play guitar in that band, but I had to learn it all anyway to show the lads, because I wrote all the songs, but I don't play guitar in that. Not all the songs.
2021 Bulls.
Yeah, 2021 Bulls, which doesn't really.
They fucked it up.
The coronavirus fucked it for me.
It's like the best, those New Year's Eve glasses that everybody wears.
Oh,
2005 was the best year for them because it was symmetrically beautiful.
Yes.
So there's the two O's for the eye. Then they started introducing like 2011. Like, how are you gonna get that into the eye? It started getting too fucking Elton John then. But anyway, sorry. Go back to what you were saying.
So we started in the let's call it the early 2000s, and for a couple of years we were just your average bog standard kind of punky bullshit, kind of hardcore, whatever nonsense band playing every fucking toilet. Like our first gig was supporting a Ramones tribute band. You know what I mean? Like that type of just garbage, whatever. Yeah. Whatever, we done the same thing that every young Dublin band done.
What were they called? Do you remember what they were called?
Pinhead.
All right.
Pinhead. They played a few times. The lads are all right. I kind of know one or two of them still. They were grand. One of them, the singer's a taxi driver. You know what I mean? Like it's just lads who like the Ramones, and everybody can play Ramones songs, so why not? Yeah. And they were actually, that Pinhead band at one stage were fucking huge. They used to do like Midnight at the Olympia and everything.
Yeah, man, I heard of them.
Yeah, they've been around for years. Yeah, They were real big for a while. Like
I would have called the band, especially if we were bad, Blitzkrieg Flop.
Or
let me see. Siobhan is a punk rocker.
Siobhan is a punk rocker.
The Irish twist in there. Anyway, let's move off this because I'm clearly knackered. I'm knackered, man. I'm not going to let you, because that's why I'm coming out. The more tour they get, the worse the jokes get.
Yeah, so we played every fucking toilet. But after 6-7 years of just wherever doing whatever the fuck, somebody offers you a gig, so okay. And there's something in every kind of young band's head where you're always thinking that if you knock it out of the park, something's going to come of it.
I know, yeah. You give it your all, something will come back.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Like the days of being discovered at a gig because some cunt in Geffen Records walked in, especially in Dublin, it's not a fucking thing. You know what I mean? Like
maybe if Eamon Dorrans was still going, was still going.
Like I fucking like we played Eamon Dorrans every 2 weeks. Like, you know what I mean? It was just
it
was at the point where you could leave gear there. Like, and no one gave a bollocks. No one gave a shit. Yeah. But there was I always remember the turning point where I think we went out for a few points one night and we were having a yap at what we wanted to do. And I remember saying to the lads, like, do you want to be like a hobby band? Do you want to have just fun and write songs and, rehearse once a week and, play the fucking Voodoo Lounge and Eamon Dorrans, have a gig every weekend, carting this fucking gear around and whatever? Or do you want to do it? Like, do you want to be in a band and have that experience? Now, I don't know whether we ever thought we were going to set the fucking world on fire. I didn't think we were going to be the next fucking, I don't know, Nirvana or, whoever, pick a band, we never had that, but we wanted to just be a real band.
M people.
Yeah, M people, yeah. So we just wanted to be a real band. So everybody decided, okay, so what we'll do then is we'll continue on with our normal lives, with our jobs and shit like that. But what if we just turn everything up by 50%? Why don't we rehearse a little bit harder, try and write better songs, try and get out of fucking Dublin a little bit.
That's a good compromise. Don't go balls to the wall.
No, because there's no...
And lose it. You lose it all, you should start again.
We were very, very aware of the fact that we were in Dublin. Very, So we started doing gigs.
The signposts were everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to not know where you were born. But we decided we were going to do a few more gigs kind of outside of Dublin just to see what it was like to be, get in a van and go somewhere for the night and come back and see what it was like. Just see what it was like to not play the same fucking toilets every weekend. So we started doing like Belfast and Cork and Galway, all the normal fucking hellholes. And then someone offered us a little tour in England. So we went out and we done that. At this stage, we thought we were fucking, we're going to England. Like, this is unreal. We're on a ferry like a real band. This is incredible. And we get over to England and it's fucking horrific as well, It's the same shy. You're playing just their toilets instead of yours. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's all it is. We decided to put out an album, self-funded an album, put that out, self-released it, sold whatever, a bit of it. My big thing was that I was good at the internet. So I was on every fucking forum.
You're the man on computers.
Exactly. But I was on every fucking forum, every website, every fucking chat room, that's all I done. I worked in computers during the day in the hospital. I had access to all their fucking printers. So I was robbing their fucking stationery and their padded envelopes to mail off CDs from people who bought them. I was fucking, you name it. I was everything was getting posted through the hospital's post for free. You know what I mean? I was using all those resources. I was using up their savage fucking internet. I was building websites. As far as I know, we were their first kind of independent Irish band on iTunes. I had to jump through mad hoops to get us on iTunes. So. And I finally got us on iTunes. And then I ended up having a meeting with the guy who started that website, CD Baby.
That was good stuff.
I met him in Dublin. And he was one of the 4 services that handled kind of digital distribution. So they done like CDs, because nobody was buying records back then. So they done like CDs and they done downloads, and they could get you onto fucking, they could get you onto iTunes and get you onto fucking.
Even at that, it was rings you'd have to jump through.
It was fucking incredibly hard. But after we got on iTunes, we started noticing that people were buying this album. So we went there, we made fucking. What did we make? Making a fucking EP or something. We did a couple of releases and we were selling them fucking every week. I was sending out fucking tons of these CDs and t-shirts that we were having printed all over the world, like fucking Rome and America and Canada. And I was like, who the fuck? But simply because we were on iTunes and we could push it out. And we also had accounts on everything from like GarageBand to fucking Reverb Nation and, fucking all that bollocks. We were on everything. MySpace was a big fucking deal. And then we decided we said, fuck it, let's do the States. Fuck it. Let's do the States, So this was obviously everybody's dreams to tour America. So we found this website called bookyourownfuckinglife.com. How punk is that? Bookyourownfuckinglife.com. Right? And I think it might still exist. And all it was all of America broken down by like state and city and town. So I looked at a map of America and I said, okay, well, it's cheapest to fly into fucking Boston or wherever the fuck it was. And so I'd look up Boston and then on this website and I'd find a list of a bunch of promoters. And I'd email them saying, listen, we want to come over at this day. We need a couple of quid and somewhere to stay and some food. Can you do it? And they'd be like, yeah or no, yeah, no. And eventually it takes months to do it by yourself. It's a cunt to book a tour independently. It's a nightmare, but it got done. We went over and we done it, and we were like, hey, like people are coming to these gigs. This is fucking mad. And we were selling merch like mad. I mean, mad. Like the only thing that kept us afloat. Like people didn't buy fucking CDs. I don't give a shit about CDs. They get all online for free, even back then.
Yeah.
Like SoulSeek was still a thing, and there was all the fucking like Usenet and all this kind of shit. You could get it if you wanted it. If you remember, there used to be these websites that was like you could download the zip files of entire albums. Do you remember those?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember what they were called. They were all hosted in Russia, but they were fucking all over the internet. But people wanted t-shirts, so we got in contact with a t-shirt printing company in like Philadelphia or something, and we struck a deal with them for pretty cheap fucking t-shirts and pretty fast shipping. So we could get kind of re-upped shirts on the road. We get them shipped to the next venue in 3 days, 4 days, whatever. And we realized pretty fucking quick that like the reason that we were doing well wasn't because we were like a hardcore punk band or we were good or any of that type of shit. It's because we were Irish. That's all it was. So every fucking cunt in America whose granddad fucking sailed out of Kerry, you know what I mean? Like every single one of them, he was in that area, heard there was an Irish band playing the Brass Rail or the fucking McGillicuddies around the corner or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? And they came out with a fucking woodwork, and they'd come to the gigs and they'd have fun. They'd come up talking to us. They just wanted to hear us talk, you know, say something. All right, yeah, how are you? Oh my God, oh my. You know what I mean?
Of the morning to
yeah, exactly. And then we were getting T-shirts made up that said like Irish hardcore, and they were like, "Oh my fucking God, I have to have one of them." You know what I mean?
Good move, man. It's a great move.
We had, instead of like a skull and crossbones, I had a harp and crossbones one made.
You cheap bastard.
Oh man, you don't understand. I fucking. I cheap that movie 300 was big at the time, so you know, like this is Sparta, which I'm kicking a dude. Yeah. I done that, and I said this is Dublin with a dude kicking a dude. I was just couldn't stop selling T-shirts; they were all over the place.
Good man.
So we ended up doing like I don't remember 3 or 4 fucking tours of the States.
That's mad. Fair fucking play, atheist.
3 or 4 tours of the States. We done England a bunch of times, and the last time we done England was in London in this legendary fucking legendary venue.
Underworld,
huh?
The Underworld?
No, this is like a hardcore venue. What the fuck was it called?
Oh,
right. What the fuck is it called? It's on Denmark Street. Oh my God, my brain's gone. My brain is dead. I'll remember now in a second. But this was like their place for a fucking London hardcore. London hardcore is real weird. It's mad weird. It's basically lads with knives that stab each other. Like, did you ever watch that TV show Top Boy?
No.
Like anything about London gangsters. Pick any sort of like London gangsters, like lads who live in flats.
There's a new TV show called Gangs of London, actually.
Yeah, apparently it's great. But think about that, but just lads have guitars as well, right? So they're wearing like tracksuits and fucking runners and fucking bags full of cocaine, but they have guitars as well. That's the London hardcore scene. It's fucking insane. It's mental. It's incredibly violent. It's batshit mad as well, right? So the last gig we played there was like this big fucking gig. It was fun, whatever. But we done like Scotland, Wales, Italy. We got invited over to Italy to play outdoors in this kind of amphitheater on the edge of the fucking Alps. In this fucking weird town. They flew us over and put us up for like a week in our own apartments. We played, I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 other bands played. We headlined it. There was a van driving around the town with all of our faces on the side of the van with speakers on top of it playing the music. It was fucking mental. It was batshit, man. Yeah. We done tours of Poland and fucking, like, Poland's fun as well. I like Poland a lot. But we never, like, we were back in Dublin and we'd still, like, someone had offered us a gig and it'd be a fucking another toilet gig, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be just another fucking toilet gig and there'd be 50 people there or whatever. But we go to the States. Now, some gigs in the States were bullshit as well. But,
of course, it's a gamble, sure.
Yeah, but like some of them were fucking amazing. There'd be hundreds of cunts there. Hundreds of them. And like 99% of the time, they were putting on the gig for the Irish fucking hardcore band. They were putting on for us, you know? But we always fucking done so much better outside of Ireland. To the point where fucking when I had the record shop in Temple Bar that I was talking about earlier, I was in there one day and I got a phone call off this dude. This random fucking American number on my mobile. And I answered it. And it was the guy who owned Thorpe Records in the States. And Thorpe Records were a big kind of hardcore record label who had a bunch of bands that I was really into.
Right.
And they had bands like Sheer Terror and The Business, and they did loads of stuff. And it was the guy from Thorpe wanting to sign us. Like, just rang me out of the blue. So I didn't even ask the other lads. It's like, yeah. I knew what they were going to say.
Of course.
Yeah. It's a 2-album deal. Like, I made him sign the other band, Skeleton Crew, as well. I was like, fucking, because you rang me about these cunts. So tell you what, give us the same deal for the other band. Yeah. Now, at the same time, signing that deal was the worst thing that we could have done. It effectively killed the band.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work. It was just, it wasn't a thing.
What is the pressure that they put on you to do touring or get the album together? Or?
Yeah, see, when we signed that deal, Gav, the guitarist, it was away. He was traveling around the world with his missus at the time, and we had literally just put out an album, so we had nothing. We had a few little kind of warm up riffs, but we had no songs.
Oh, yeah.
So Gav wasn't going to be back for 6 months, so I had to run off, and I wrote an entire fucking album on my own, and I had to wait for Gav to get back, and then we started rehearsing again to show everybody songs and change them up and suit everybody, do what we could. and that went out, and then the label. I don't think the label kind of got soured on us, but I think that their idea of kind of reinvigorating the label by signing a bunch of new acts kind of backfired on them. So when we were part of this kind of batch of 3 or 4 bands that they had signed, and none of them really done much, to be honest with you. None of them really done much, mainly down to the fact that the label's idea of signing the band was to just create a band profile on their fucking website and sell like digital downloads and T-shirts and stuff. You know, like there's no physical copies of that album ever released.
That's lazy.
Yeah, I've never seen a physical copy of that album. Same as Skeleton Crew, we had to print them up ourselves, which would have been illegal and breaking contract, but we sent them off to a CD manufacturer and just had a couple of hundred made up because people were asking us all the time. We're like, I've nothing to sell you. You have to go onto the label's website, and if enough people buy the deal was if enough people buy the digital downloads, and they'll make the CDs and the LPs. But they never done it. Even though I was walking around my own hometown and I saw people with the T-shirts that the record label were selling on the internet. I saw them walking around wearing these T-shirts. So that was kind of the end of it. And then they start offering us tours, you know, big tours. You know, do you want to go to fucking, do you want to do Eastern Europe and Russia for a month with this band? And I was like, let me ask the boys. And then they'd say, you know, you get £200 a day. And I'm like, £200 a fucking day, like for a whole band. Like €50 a fucking day. And yeah, you have to rent your own van and bring your own gear, stick it up your fucking hole, like, you know. The concepts that they were pushing, also we were getting on a little bit. We were in our 30s, I'd say, at this stage, in our early 30s. So it's not like we were fucking 19, 20 with nothing to lose. Like some lads were fucking getting married and some were having kids, and you know, real life was starting to become a thing. And there wasn't pressure. It was just stupid. It took us out of our element. The reason they came after us is because we made ourselves kind of interesting to the world at large by doing our own thing, by putting out our own records and organising our own tours, you know, and that's what they wanted. And then when they got that, they kind of changed the direction of it a little bit, and that kind of fucked with us. But yeah, like we never done anything here. Like we done some support gigs here in Ireland, like therapy, and people I was talking about the therapy gigs, and like it was fine. Like I didn't meet any of them lads. Do you know what I mean? I was just in a fucking green room, hustled onto the stage, played half an hour, and fucking pulled off it.
Deadly.
Like yeah, there's great footage and all that. You know, it was a full house, and we played a bunch of great gigs, and got to play with a load of bands I really like, but like still nothing ever came of it. Here, no one gave a shit. No one gave a shit because
and that's
we didn't give a shit.
That's the crux of this whole episode, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's just the way I always looked at it is that Ireland doesn't have, like, you think of England, right? So England's like rock and roll, right? Whether it be the Beatles or whether it be fucking Rolling Stones or, you know, fucking name a band, right? Name a band. It's a rock and roll fucking place, you know. America. Yeah, exactly. M people. Like you name a band, whatever. Like, let's say England's fucking rock and roll. So they've loads of different genres, but rock and roll is their fucking bag, right?
Yeah.
You go to the States, like they do metal particularly well. They do hip hop, obviously better than anybody on earth. But Ireland doesn't have a music. You know what I mean? Not really. Like we've banged out some good alternative rock bands over the years, but none of them were ever the first of their kind. You know
I think, to be fair, stuff like Anuna and Keela, actual Celtic music, does extremely well. But apart from that, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but like I'm talking about popular music. Like, we don't have a niche. So what we do have, we've got thousands of splintered scenes, and not enough people for this small country to support any scene, to get big enough for it to be worthwhile for a band to put their full effort into being an Irish band in Ireland, you know? Yeah. So yeah, you're always looking outside. I remember reading an interview with Ash, and they were talking about going to London. They were like, listen, we could be like the big fish in a small pond, or we could be fucking, you know, we could try and be like the big fish in the big pond. So we fucked off to England and tried to make it over there. Because if you make it in England, you've a shot at least. You've a shot.
Yeah, it is. Like if you think about like the scene in London being bigger than the scene in Ireland for alternative music, do you know what I mean? Like you're moving up and you're getting more exposure, you're getting more gigs, and you're getting more crowds at the gigs. Yeah. Look, it makes sense. Although we still fucking are an incredibly impressive country at putting out great music.
We're super at putting music out, but we don't support that music. It has to get, a lot of the time it becomes bigger outside of here, which is...
Like you're saying, it's fragmented. It needs to find a good group outside of it. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, that's us for this week.
That was the Bigger Outside Ireland podcast.
Yeah. You can get us on patreon.com/Lost Art Podcast. If you want to give us a $5 a month, it's great. You can get us on Facebook. Yeah, it does help a lot. Use on facebook.com/Lost Art Podcast as well. Share, help, fucking rate, review, all the bullshit on the podcast. And then every Saturday night we do our live radio show on Mixlr.com. Just go onto the Facebook page and you'll get all the details there. Do yourself a favor, create an account. That way you can chat to us and it runs properly.
Correct us and get in the... Yeah, it's a bit of crack. I love the chat. Chat's a bit of crack.
Chat's great fun. Well. The chat is great fun, and we actually read it and react to it as well. Yes, we do that every Saturday night, 9 Irish time, which is what, GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. Figure that out for yourself because it's
UTC
Americans
+1,
something like that. Is it? Yeah. Right. That's us for this week. We shall be back this Saturday for the live one, and we're back with another podcast for you next week.
Good night.
Night.